following is a special presentation. From the Captain Esports Network.
After a wild and crazy finish in the NASCAR Daytona 500, we come to you live from the World Center of Racing on iRacing as we get ready to go for 500 kilometers of racing here at Daytona International Speedway, a race that we have been hyping up for a couple weeks now, and that time has come here to crown a winner in the Great American Sim Race, if you will, as we get you ready here from the Daytona International Speedway. Unfortunately, a little bit of an abbreviated pre-race show as we're going to get ready and get the green flag here momentarily. Pretty close to on time after the 500 ended about 20 minutes or so ago. And we are ready to rock and roll. I'm the captain, of course. Kevin England joins us tonight, fresh from his hockey game last week where the Devils were victorious over the Kraken. But tonight, we're not going to be on ice. At least we think. We're going to have some pretty crazy racing here at Daytona as we get ready to crown potentially a winner for the fourth time. We could potentially crown somebody who's won every race this week, or somebody we never thought of.
Yeah, the energy in the air is electric tonight as the drivers get ready for the first race of the season. It's a reset, and no better place to start it off at Daytona, where every driver coming in here tonight thinks they can win. It is going to be a white knuckle race. Chris, I think these guys are going to be elbows up all night long as they want to win the first one of the season.
And of course, this is the NC811.org Cup Series. Now, of course, the big story on this next-gen card has been the story for 2 weeks now in the Clash and in the duels last week was the side draft and the net coding that was going on with it. You can almost not even call it net code. It was some kind of coding with the way the front symmetry of the car was set up, causing wrecks throughout the week. You almost wondered if it was going to go into this race. Well, coming from a guy who ran a 500 on Sunday this past weekend, and many of races I got a chance to watch this weekend, the glitch is gone. It was patched up on Tuesday, and we are going to see, I think, some wild racing now. Is that going to take out netcode? No. Is that going to take out potential wrecks from side drafting? No. But know that you will likely not see the side draft netcoding incidents that we saw in the race on last week, I should say, and the previous week. All right, the grid is forming up. Let's step away from the national anthem. We'll come back and get you ready for the green flag from Daytona.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, the cars are on track as we get ready to go. As I told you, we're flying through this pre-race show and taking a look at your starting lineup. Tyler Dalton and Kevin King, they won the front row 2 weeks ago in qualifying. They will start in row 1, followed by the dual winners, Brian Macklin and Wesley Donaldson. Mike Kelly, Anthony Calantoni in row 3. Row 4, Jimmy Coleman, Justin Fuller, Mark Jorgensen, and Robert Fryby III going to be row 5 with Justin Mons and Alan Wild there in row 6. And as we take a look at the rest of your field here, I'm going to kind of buzz through it a little bit because we're coming into turn 3 and 4 here in this race. And Kevin, you've run a Daytona 500 on iRacing. What are we doing here to get prepped up? Because you know we're coming to the green flag of the big race.
Beginning of the race, you just want to settle in. You want to find your space. You don't want to push too hard. You want to make sure you can see out front and just kind of pace yourself. But every lap that ticks off means you get closer to the end. And probably with about 50 to go, it's go time. And these guys are going to get up on the wheels. I think in the beginning, we'll see a calm and relatively stable race. You have to watch how the cars move back and forth in the draft. They're going to take a little bit of time to get that sorted out as they drop the green. Everybody comes up through the gears. We're underway here for the Daytona 500K Sim500 Racing.
Yeah, 120 laps of racing, 300 miles, just close to the 500 kilometers region. As you saw Tyler Dalton take the top side, and of course our camera site presented by TrackCams22.com. They are online on Facebook and the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com is their website. TrackCams4 Gourmet is Dalton with the push from Wesley Donaldson, Anthony Calantoni. That's a whole Sim500 Mafia 1, 2, 3 down into turn 3 for the first time.
Top lane starts to prevail as the top 5 cars break away around the outside, with Tyler leading them off of turn 4 for lap number 1. Everybody kind of spaced out here. Not a very tight start for the entire field. Lap number 1's in the books, and right now, like I said,
they're wrecking front straightaway up in the couple cars have come together. Everybody's straight though, but one car with heavy damage. That is Nelson Rivera, the 22 car with heavy nose damage. His right front is torn up, and he's going to go all the way down to the inside wall here. And I'm not sure who the other car was, but they were tangled up. And I should note that we had 47 cars take the green flag here, so a little more than the usual 43, but they let everybody race in this one. But a rough start as the field kind of spread out now, as you mentioned here on lap number 2.
Yes, Tony Benfield got a little loose out of turn number 4, slid up, tried to gather the car.
And now they're wrecking again. Big wreck off turn 2, or turn 4.
Oh.
3, 4, 5 cars. This is not the kind of start we wanted. Joe Hudson going to pit road. Scott Stenzel involved. And I see the 13 of David Comstock with a little bit of damage on the right side of his car.
Wow, we were just talking about how they wanted to settle in here, and
You would
that
think.
is not the way
Eric
to get
Arnold
things
involved.
going there.
Yeah.
That started somewhere with Comstock getting turned sideways.
Well, we're going to have a minute to kind of look at all this here real quick as we break it down. But caution one here early. You would have thought we would have calmed down and just kind of let this race come to us, but maybe everybody's got the EVGBs of being a Daytona 500, just getting done with the race a minute or about 20, 30 minutes ago from the actual checkered flag waving. You kind of wonder if maybe people have got the a little too anxious there for the start.
I think, you know, one thing we have to keep in mind is a lot of these drivers ran practice, they ran races and so on, but this is the first time all 47 drivers are on the racetrack, and These cars, they move around a lot in the wind, and it is not unusual for these guys to be banging fenders, but I didn't think it would be taking place so early in the race.
So we're looking at the first wreck with Rivera. It looks like he gets into the side of the 7 cars. They were 3 wide going through the tri-oval here. And I don't... The way Rivera's
75?
car is rolling, though, just seems very weird to me. Like something happened to Rivera's screen. It's got that kind of look to her.
The 75 got a little loose out of turn number 4, and the car wiggled up just a touch, slowed the 22 up, and that made it so that he was going to connect with the 7 there, and that was the contact.
Yeah, I don't know. Just something looks weird there with the 22 car, too. I could be wrong by that. So that was the wreck on lap 1. But, yeah, you did see the 75 make the contact with the 22 there. And then things happened. So hopefully I'm wrong, but it just, he toes out there. So maybe everything was okay. Just kind of letting the car go to where it was. And then lap number 2, as we were evaluating the first wreck here. This wreck's going to start.
This one's going to be contact with the 69 and the 13.
We're back here in the second groove as they're trying to get going here. Well, there's netcode. 69 into the 13, but the 13 got a little free up top. Eric Arnold with the center punch on the 13 car.
As they say, that could have been a lot worse. There were a lot of cars right there in that stack, and fortunately when the 2 of them slid up, it opened the bottom of the racetrack for a bunch of different cars to sneak by.
Yeah, he gets loose. You know what it is? First off, the track is slick. Let's start with that. It's 120-something degrees out here on the track. Okay? Blundell, I don't know if he just did not have an idea where he was, but look right here. He's catching this line of 4 cars, and as we know from running the 500 this weekend, Kev, you get these huge runs, and when they check up, you have to get off the gas, and you see he had to make an emergency jerk of the wheel to the right, and it probably causes back end to swap ends. And unfortunately, he's there to netcode, unfortunately, but looked like was going to hit David no matter what, and into the wall they go. So just a rough sequence of events.
Yes, he pulled right when he went to turn back left to straighten the car. The back end just swung around, and it drew him down the racetrack into the right rear quarter panel of the 13. And that's a tough break for David Comstock. He's the type of driver that's going to sit there and have a shot at the win by running top 5 all night long. And he was already there right from the get-go, and he's going to find trouble early here in the Daytona 500K.
Yeah, we talked about Comstock having a big season last season. He was wanting to have a big start this week, but unfortunately it has not come that way for him. And he is got some damage to get repaired. Nelson Rivera's taking his car behind the wall. And we've had a good amount of people, about 25th on down, come to pit road to get either damage fixed or top off the fuel cell or something like that. So we'll have to see how this transpires. But you see the top 3 now of Tyler Dalton, Wesley Donaldson, Kevin King, and then Cal Antoni and Justin Fuller, your top 5 as we get the wrinkles out here. We appreciate everybody joining us. I know it's kind of a wild sequence of events during the day, trying to figure out if we were going to race tonight, and then if we weren't going to race, if when the broadcast was going to go on the air, and so on and so forth. And Joey and I talked this morning about 10:30, and said I told him basically we were open to whatever you tell me, and we'll do it. And that's basically what we did. And here we are, ready to go. And obviously, thankfully, the actual 500 didn't go all of like 550 miles like it has the last couple of years, and we are good to go here for the 120 laps, and we appreciate everybody joining us. Maybe a couple people showing up a little late, but we got to start pretty much on time tonight, which is awesome. So, Kev, appreciate you being here, of course, as always, and let's see if these guys shook off the little rust there as we come to the green flag here at lap number 5.
Once again, they come through the gears as Dalton leads them down into turn number 1. Takes about the back straightaway for you to get through 4th gear and drop it into 5th, depending on how you pick up the draft.
Well, interesting here. I saw Coleman slide up to the top side here, and already seeing 5-6 cars line up the top. Are we going to see the choo-choo train here to get this race moving? That is the Macklin car down there in the bottom, that 30 car. Down here by himself with Mike Kelly now going to jump down there to help the Jorgensen, the Gray Ghost National Guard 88 up top there, and you see the line starting to form. This might be exactly what these guys need to let this car kind of settle in and let this race go.
Again, we feel the field pretty strung out there, out behind about 14th, 15th place. They're running single file, a lot of space and some drivers falling off the back. I'm kind of surprised to see that much. As up front, they're beating and banging on each other. They didn't waste any time at finding the bumpers.
Inside line getting lined up here a little bit. Now, the one thing that we talked about with the fix, the side draft and coating when it comes to the front end, that has been fixed now in the car, so you can sit here and race like this, and the side draft is pretty heavy, but if those cars on the top side can run that lane up there, it kind of eliminates the side draft from the bottom line and allow them to run right up there beside. And this kind of racing is fine. You know, you go out there, you just log laps for a little bit here, but obviously as you get closer to each other, you're going to get checkups, especially the farther back in the pack you are, and you got to be very careful of what can happen.
Now we're starting to see the field form up 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back to about the 20th position. This is more of what I would expect. Everybody just kind of picks their lane. A lot of drivers, the veterans, like the yellow line, they can just hug that yellow line, stay right in there. And one of the things we'll talk about tonight, possibly, Chris, is fuel mileage. These drivers can go 40, 42, some 44 change. And if you're in that draft, you stay right behind the bubble of the car in front of you. You can lift out of the throttle and use the draft to pull you along and save a little fuel. And we'll have to see how fuel mileage plays out when we get to around lap 40.
Yeah, obviously, these cars right here that we're watching on our drone cam that flies looking back at the field here is these cars here are pretty much half throttle for the most part right now. You get further up in the field, maybe a little more full throttle. Like up here where Cal and Tony, you're wide open on the gas. You look at Macklin, same thing, but then the further back you go, their throttle percentages are nowhere near as much. As you see the faster passenger there. You got Peters, Mike Peters there in the 95 car, the Raising Cane's Mustang. Looking to race some Cane here this evening. But, yeah, I think that's going to determine the fuel mileage in this race. And obviously, if you can't make it to lap 40, which that caution should have helped you, you're not going to make it 2 more stops to get to the finish of this race, or 2 more stints, I should say.
So we said in the beginning, we think these drivers will just kind of settle in and ride, get a sense of the track, get a sense of the competition, maybe gain a little bit of track position, but settle in. And that's where I think we finally have found that initial start. Rather unusual, not expecting that, but this is a little more of what we would expect to see. And one of the things we should note here is look at the distance between the cars. The amount of space between the cars. Maybe it's a half car length, maybe it's a quarter car length, maybe it's a full car length. In the beginning, a little bit relaxed, you kind of lay off the car in front of you, and as the race goes, especially at the end, they'll all be connected, bumper to bumper, all the way through, pushing and shoving. So this is the relaxed part that I'm talking about. And every once in a while, you can get a good run, go up, tuck into the car in front of you and give it a push. It's not easy to see, Chris, out the windshield, through the car in front of you to what's going on. You're trusting everybody in front of you is behaving and that you could just stay in line right here and pick and choose your moves.
Ron Holyfield here in the 21 cars. Let's jump on board with him and let you see what the drivers are seeing right now. I mean, this is the roof cam. And you see some cars moving lanes, but the one thing about this car, and it's kind of similar in other cars too, is the bubble. There is a invisible beach ball, as Dale Jr. likes to reference, in front of these cars. If you ever notice, if you get directly behind the car and you start trying to push it, you won't ever get to the bumper. But there's a beach ball there. If you can get in and break that ball, so to say, it'll push the other car forward and get you a little bit more of the draft. And that's one of the sneaky things you can do here in this car. It's very specific in this car. Like right here, you see Holyfield gets to run up on the 92. Maybe he checks up just a little bit. But here, he gets into that little beach ball area, kind of pushes the car back out. think of it as a rubber band almost, so to say, the way that works out. But either way, yeah, that's part of how this draft works. And the one thing I learned running Sunday is how important the third and fourth car in line is in a pack. I know beginning of the race, I was third or fourth as I started like 10th. And I had people kind of almost yelling at me because I wasn't pushing one specific line. I'm like, first off, it's like lap 4, so, simmer down. But 2, it was like, I'm not really in the mood to push the front 2 cars right now. I'm more just kind of hanging out because I want to finish. So I jumped out of the way and moved to the back, and, everything went from there. So that's where we got to watch Anthony Calantoni and Mike Kelly and Jimmy Coleman and those guys who are sitting up here at this part of the pack. Kevin King, another car there. Those cars almost have to push the cars in front of them to push the cars in front of them to push the car in front of them.
Yeah, my NIS experiences this week running the full Daytona 500 did not go very well, Chris. I got tagged, which, tag, you're hit. Tag, you find the wall. And that brings a key point here. These guys will lock bumpers, and they will push. They will shove. You want to do it on the straightaway. You're going to be banging in the corners. You're going to turn somebody around, especially if you catch them on the quarter panel. As much as these cars move around, you need to be really careful that you hit them square. And if you're going to bump in the corner, you better make sure you line it up correctly, especially through that tri-oval. It's a really difficult place to push. And we'll see how drivers do tonight at managing that aspect of racing here at Daytona.
You know the best way to bump a car in the tri-oval?
Don't
do it. That's the best bump you can have in the tri-oval. I mean, it's very treacherous, the way these cars are. I mean, it's just, they're tricky. They don't line up bumper-wise, and you will never see me make that kind of mistake. I mean, I say that anymore because I'm wise enough to not do it and have the experience. But you get somebody out here, it's a rookie, maybe on iRacing or whatever, and it can be very, very treacherous doing that kind of move. You see Macklin pushing to 51 through the corner. Some people feel okay to do it, though. I mean, you see Macklin pushing to 51, trying to get that front pack up there, the inside lane up there to the lead. Appreciate the viewers joining us here this evening. The Trash Man has joined us. Justin Pennick, who was not the Trash Man. That's another. Well, there's Macklin getting loose. So there's those bumps right there that you got to be, or not, I'm sorry, Fuller getting loose off of Macklin. But appreciate Justin Pennick from, of course, the Talking Giants podcast for joining us here this evening. But if you're watching a race, enjoying it, let your friends know. Come join us and watch the 120 laps of action where we're going to crown another champion tonight of the big race here for Sim500 and officially get the season going. Kev, you and I talked a little bit during the podcast a couple weeks ago when we previewed what was going to come up here on the Cup side. And one of the things you and I talked about was this guy who was in second position right here, Wesley Donaldson. And we talked about how he could be one that breaks out this year. And he has done everything right this week. He won the Clash 2 weeks ago. He won the dual race last Monday. He won yesterday's Xfinity race at Atlanta. I mean, he's doing everything right. And not to discredit Mr. Wesley here, but you have to wonder if it's the sponsor. The WBD Diecast, the new sponsor in Sim500. Here's my why, and it's my one time I'm going to brag about this all night. I actually won my Daytona 500 yesterday, driving a WBD Diecast car. I can't make that up.
I think I need to get.
There's something in that sponsorship right now. I'm just gonna put that out there. So, yeah. So let's see how the others do. And of course, Chad Coleman's already. Maybe I need to change my scheme or something. I'm like, it's probably the color scheme, Chad, because he's in the red WBD Diecast, not the blue. But to be exact, actually, the paint scheme I was in is the one that you see Josh Parker in. I was in actually his paint scheme because on Trading Paints, there it was right there without the pro numbers. I just threw it on the car and said I'd run it. And, well, here's Parker going up the middle. Now split ski on John Cena and Peters there, the 92 and 95, as he works his way up from the back after a rough race there. You see the 88 almost dooring him a little bit there and gets in front of him. We form a third line here, 3 wide up the middle. Joey Jattina with him there in that 14. I'm sorry, that was
right now
Wetzel, not, sorry. They're both in Gray Ghost car. Wetzel and the Gray Ghost also.
Right now, the field league's pretty static. If you started up front, you're running up front. If you started in the middle, you're running in the middle. The one exception to that is Bobby Wetzel, running 19th at 9 cars, up 18 spots. Josh Parker, as always, coming from the back up 14. Kevin DeBrown up 16. But they're only around the 20s as it is. So, yeah, we're looking to see whether or not somebody's going to climb through and start making moves. And one of the things you could see, especially on the backstretch shots, cars switching lanes. Gap opens up to the top. And I don't know how you sense this, but to me, it seems like top is the preferred line. If you want to move forward, you want to get in the top lane.
I think that comes down to the heat. When you look at what the weather looks like right now. And the reason why, by the way, you saw me freak out for a second is the lap car of Patrick Wendell was running the bottom side there, and it looked like he mirror drived just a little bit and got into Joey Jattina. One thing, if you're a lap car, do not mirror drive. Just look forward, let everybody pass you. It's their job. We look back here from Rod Mitten, who's 3 wide with Parker, and the 28 car on the inside there is Patrick Colby. As you see the line here, and let's throw the weather up here really quickly on the screen for those who don't know. The Sim500 League runs off of the iRacing default weather, but make sure that the track temp maxes out. Track temp's over here on the right side, 135 degrees, which makes the track slick. Track gets slick, you go to the top side. And that's where I think you're going to see it be topside heavy a good portion of this race.
I'll tell you, as you look through the field here, I'm trying to map the drivers to the numbers. A couple changes this year. If you're familiar with Sim500, there's almost everybody kind of stays with the number through their career, but every once in a while you see a couple changes, like Mike Montesi running the 4, not the 6. And, you know, with Kevin King in here tonight in the 29, you'll see other numbers changing. Some stay the same, as I said. So, also new paint schemes. Always love to see how the cars look in the first race of the season, Chris.
Yeah, Kevin King has been to 29 forever and a day. I remember running some NIS races with him at the beginning of NIS before he took off and became a pro driver. This was obviously 10 years ago. And, yeah, I remember him being in the 29 the whole entire time. If I remember correctly, he had a stream called Rutgers Kev back in the heyday. And, you know, here he is running in the league again, back from the Pro Series. And looking pretty good here so far, riding up in the top 5 as we're 22 laps in to this Daytona 500K. We appreciate everybody joining us, and we're going to step away for just a quick second here from 811. Call before we dig, and we'll come back. More racing here at Daytona on the Captain Esports Network.
This tree is going to look great here.
Did you call 811 to protect your underground utilities?
I can't wait to see these roses come up.
Dig, dig, dig! Wait, we forgot to call 811!
Before you dig, make sure you can. Call 811 to know what's below. It's up to all of us to protect the ones we love.
Back we are here at Daytona. 24 laps in, Tyler Dalton been up front leading. And pretty much a Sim500 Mafia up front there with Justin Fuller tagging on. And should mention, just attached a link into the chat. If you're on YouTube or Facebook watching, Facebook, it hasn't officially, there it goes, now it's posted in chat. On YouTube, you can click that link and follow the timing and scoring of this race right off of what you see on my screen. And who's running where? As you see Kevin Brown coming up the middle in that 93 car. Mr. Aggressive there working. That's another WBD diecast car. But make sure you check that out. You can modify it however you feel. See fastest laps and who's pitting and who's doing what and who's literally creating holes up the middle. As Kevin is not taking prisoners right now.
Yeah, one thing we've not talked about is sometimes these drivers want to go and find a teammate or get in. You know, a lot of them are in communication with each other. And the unique thing about our sim racing experience is that drivers can get into a communication app. A lot of them use Discord. Some used to use TeamSpeak, and they get into a channel and can talk to each other.
Disconnected.
And how do they like to find each other on the racetrack, work together, teammates, especially team name, if we're going to call it team, last year controlled a lot of races by getting together and working together. And of course, this type of racing suits that format. So no surprise to me that Kevin DeBrown is running his way through as he's made his way to 6th place. So far.
Topside checking up a little bit there. Not sure what happened to Kevin King. You saw it on the outside line there. Is now they're 3 wide with Calantoni topside, Fuller there in the middle. That almost got to Junkyard. Now Macklin, here I am stuck in the middle with you.
Steelers wheel.
And yeah, that was a little bit of a wild sequence there. As Kevin Brown, remember that guy that was shooting up the middle, and he has gained 38 spots and now leads his Daytona 500K. He and Parker pretty much went right through the field as they are jossing and juking and jiving and anything else that starts with a J right now for the lead. Big shout out to Miss Weeks, of course, watching tonight. She's the, I don't know her official position. She's like the PR person for our new team here on iRacing, which is the team back here with Justin Mons and them, Ancient World Gaming, which is an actual like team that goes out and does like games and stuff in different sims, and they've all showed up here at Sim500, and I think they're trying to go straight pinky in the brain on this league. Try to take over the world. I appreciate Miss Sweet. She's the CEO. She's the Chief Everything Officer. I don't know if that's really what it stands for, but it works for me. So 28 laps, though, in the books. Appreciate the viewers watching here this evening who have hung out. And make sure you give us a follow on Facebook, on Twitter. Just look up Captain Esports Network if you haven't done that already. So we're about 10 laps from green flag pit stops potentially here. Remember, last year's race only had 2 cautions.
Yeah, we have to keep in mind that some of the drivers did top off there in that first caution. So some of them are going to be able to run it on those that stayed out. We were speculating 40, 42 laps now. Tyler Dalton's led pretty much the whole thing here tonight, so we know his fuel mileage. When he goes to pit road, everybody else shall follow soon thereafter. Is seeing a couple new names popping up in here and trying to mix it up. Robert Priory III running in the top 10 right now. The custom carpentry number 77
here we go, Kevin
Contact.
No.
The 91's around. 93 is around.
Glenn Campbell into the wall. I saw Anthony Calantoni got his nose ripped off. Oh.
Wow.
Caution for the second time. Oh, the Talking Giants car. Second place last year came ever so close to a Daytona 500 win. And it's been taken from him there.
Front of the field, and unfortunately when one car slides up across the banking,
Wesley Donaldson's involved.
Yes, he got clipped from the bottom.
The sweep is out.
The 81 of Josh Parker connected with Kevin DeBrown, and Kevin went flying across the racetrack to tag the 91 and the 84, cleaned them out, and then everybody else piled in from there.
So potentially bump draft gone wrong here. So let's see. We're going to get what I have titled, by the way, I did this last week. I have something called the crash cam. It's for those in iRacing, it's the far chase. But I'm calling it the crash cam because you see every crash from this cam. Here we go. Yeah, Parker straight pushing Kevin the whole entire time. I mean, he's on him in the corners, which you're playing with fire doing that move. And he got to the left rear. He got to the left rear and hooked him. Brian Macklin gets a big piece of it.
Great hands by Mike Peters there. Hooked the left, went down to the apron, and drove himself right out of that. He could have easily been collected. Nice job by the number 95 to miss that.
So this is where we talked about the bump drafting. Yeah, it works. But when you get up here on this 31 degrees banking on this track, you are flirting with potential danger. in danger hit right there. As the 81, as you see, he gets kind of moved to the left side of the car, and the left side will easily upset the car. And there you see right there the hook happen. And Kevin overcorrects it right up into Wesley, right up into Calantoni. You see Macklin probably going to have some engine damage from that hit, I would think. If so, that really just opened up this race. We'll have to see
A lot of those drivers were able to just push their way through. We saw the 31 bounce through.
And
I
Jorgensen,
think what
look at that.
happened is as he went sideways, the left front got up on the apron.
Mm-hmm.
And when you touch the apron and then come back to the banking, the car shoots out to the right. It basically lifts the front wheels off the ground.
Oh, how this is going to get dissected now. Oh, man.
That's your 2021 champion, Josh Parker. Series champion.
Yeah.
You don't see that kind of situation happening from somebody of that caliber in this kind of race. And it's just a byproduct of running close, and all he did was just nick him.
Obviously, some cars going to be out after this. And, of course, part of the things that there's been a lot of improvements we've tried to work on in this stream. And one of the things I'm trying to do is talk to drivers after the race. And I'm peeking over it. Do I want to talk to one of these two guys? I have that hesitation in me, you know?
He who hesitates is lost.
That's facts. That is facts. You know what? All right, let's. Oh my gosh! All right, here we go. Let's see who's gonna want to chat with this one after this wreck. Let's start with. You know what? I think Wesley might be in the other chat. But Wesley's gone. I guess by default, that's going to leave me the driver of the other. Wes just came back. Oh, he's down here in this channel now. Oh, never mind. Okay, I'll figure it out one of these days. We get one to go here, and oh my gosh, the interview I do not want to have right now. Wesley Donaldson. Do we even want to talk about what happened?
I can't say I'm too happy right now, just being honest.
That's totally understandable, man. I know, obviously, having the week that you have had, the last 2 weeks, winning 3 races, and then having a chance, you're running up there, just being patient, and have it taken away from you.
Yeah, we were doing well up there. Tyler, Anthony, and I pretty much had a plan from the get-go, and we were pretty much executing that perfectly. Just got caught up in that, thought I was going to be okay until I wasn't. That's all I'll say about it.
That's fair. That's fair. We appreciate, I know, the candor there and obviously the honesty, and we'll try again next week, man. Best of luck.
Yep. See you then.
Bye-bye. Wesley Donaldson obviously disappointed after his run has come up short now in the Daytona 500K. Not to add to the weirdness there, but that Kevin DeBrown is in a WBD diecast car.
Yes.
And got up into Wesley there, so unfortunate there. All right, let's see if Calantoni wants to chat here, as I'm sure he's pretty disappointed in this whole thing too. Anthony, you there, bud?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
All right, man. I'm sure you're pretty ticked off after that whole situation happened. Just anything can be done different to avoid that?
Do you want the TV answer or do you want the real answer?
Let's go with the TV answer for now. I'll get the real answer later.
There's just no need to be driving like that, you know. It was what, lap 30 of 120?
Yeah.
There's no need to be pushing like that in the corner and take out, a quarter of the field like that.
That's fair.
But the 84 Talking Giant Chevrolet was it felt strong. I was up there with my teammates. We had a plan there, and unfortunately it was just taken out by someone who was not patient enough.
There you go. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I know you're not happy, so but we appreciate your thoughts and stuff, and we'll let you go from here.
Fixing the car, Anthony?
Yeah, they're fixing it, but it's killed. Yeah. So we'll I'll have to go to bed here, and I'll turn the Xfinity race on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Well, hey, tough break. Appreciate your time, bud.
Thank you. I just want to thank Talking Giants, John Boy Media, and the new sponsor that's on board, the Rebuilding Warriors program here in town. So I'm excited to have them on board with the car. Great foundation group that is coming on board this year for the patriotic races.
That's awesome, man. Well, good to see them here, and go check your Facebook Messenger.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. That is Anthony Calantoni. Those are the two main guys that were involved in that contact. Do you blame them for being frustrated, Kev?
No, really the disappointment comes from waiting all off season to come to race, and then you get a handful of laps and you don't get to see the action. That is going to frustrate anybody, no matter what the cause is. And look, I'm going to chalk it up as a racing incident. Sometimes these things happen. You just didn't mean to push or connect, and bump going wrong. That's really what it's about. What I see here is the field has split in half. You see, top part of the field has broken away. They're running through the middle of turns 1 and 2. The other one entering turn 1 and 2. It'll be interesting to see if Mike Kelly and this crew right behind him can get organized and suck back up and make this one big pack.
Yeah, you see Montesi back here at the back with the 9 of Wetzel, and that's Adam Benefield, the 83 there in front of him. You see Joey Jattina, the boss man, in this pack. But we do appreciate, Anthony and Wesley for joining us. Appreciate the class they showed there with the interviews and stuff. And, that's the one thing that I cringed when people were like, we want more interviews of people that wreck. I'm like, you sure? But, you know what? That's part of racing is sometimes you get up there in front of the people and you guys got to, there's the part of you that wants to say what's really on your mind, and then there's the party it's like, I got to behave here for a second. It's it, I don't know if I could have done that.
Yeah, I'll tell you the one thing that I think is going to change the complexion of the race is Tyler Dalton lost his wingman.
Yeah.
It looked like he and Wesley had a plan.
Oh, Arnold about got sent packing.
Yeah, after his incident earlier where he drove through that wreck. Been an eventful night for a couple of these guys. I'd like to see it settle down. This front line was not able to shake Mike Kelly. He does look like he's driving this group back out. They've got organized.
I think you're getting Kelly mixed up with Scott Simley. They're both in similar paint cars. Kelly's up in second right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to correct you there. It's like, let me make sure he's got the right guys here.
You're right. Yep, Scott Simley.
Yeah, Simley here.
Yeah, Simley is the one driving everybody through.
You would hope that one would change their colors at the top of their cars, but
I was sitting out behind the field and just catching the two on the roof. Lesson learned.
Hey, all good, all good. It's first race of the season, getting the blues out of the way.
Justin Fuller in that group, he went 3 wide at one point, pulled alongside of them, but then decided it was probably in his best interest to get single file, and he's correct. Simley has now caught the back of that first pack. That's a little bit different, Chris. In the past, you would have dropped off. They've made some changes here that allows these cars to draft a little bit better. Now we have one big continuous pack.
Yeah, as long as you can get somebody that pushes you, you get 2 or 3 cars that could push you on the straightaways. Down the straightaway, you can gain the momentum to get to the back of this pack. And I'm sure Medina not being at full speed here, I'm sure he's kind of half throttling it with Chad Coleman, who these guys are riding here. That would allow them to gain the momentum. And here they are back down. You see Fuller going up top here with Scott Stenzel, who was in the grass just a little bit ago. But, yeah, that's what brings this group all together again.
Lap 39 of 120, and it's Patrick Colby out front in the number 28. He's up 31 positions. He and Tyler continue to swap that position, but stout run early on here for that number 28 Ford.
Yeah, that one of Dustin Hall, second car inside lane. Dustin started all the way back in 41st. He was one of the first cars out in his dual race last Monday night, and here he is up in the pack as that red, white, and gold at number 1. And I'm trying to see what the sponsor is on that car, but you see him right there. You got Alan Wild in the 15. You got Kevin Stone in the 17. You got some 811 cars there kind of lining up on the inside as we hit the 100-mile mark.
Everything getting kind of tight right now as everybody's elected each other, and there's 2 primary lines. And yeah, seeing some new names up here in the front. You said Kevin Stone. He's tucked in there, fourth in line, following the number 15 of Alan Wild. Alan, he runs pretty darn good at these restrictor plate tracks and gets himself a win here and there. And tonight, he might be able to get his first major cup win as he runs third on the inside lane, currently scored in fifth. He's got one of the best on the outside, Kevin King, in the number 29.
Yeah, King doing a good job of being up here at the front right now, as a lot of these guys have done a good job hanging out. Tyler Dalton, Mike Kelly, Kevin King, Jorgensen's been up here. How about this guy here, this monster number 49, Matt Rodolasso, who is making his debut here tonight and doing a good job at that Monster Energy. I'm guessing that's the sugar-free car, because I know the white can is usually the sugar-free can. He's literally in a Casper white car. It's not even, I mean, you could almost call that Ghost White or a Casper White, because it's literally all white with chrome numbers, which is kind of a cool look.
Yeah, a lot of really sharp looking race finishes here. Looking at the number 30 of Brian Macklin, he was involved in that incident. He's currently running in the 25th position out there, running behind Glenn Campbell, the Rhinestone Cowboy, in the Trans Service number 44. And let's not forget Brian Macklin. What's on the line for him? He's trying to win number 4
in a row.
Number 30 Toyota, and I wondered if the damage to his car was going to take him out of contention, but right now he seems to be hanging quite fine with the draft and not charging through as much as I would have expected, so maybe he just decided to play it a little safer now as we get to the middle stages of this race.
Yeah, obviously taking care of the car now after getting the nose kind of hurt a little bit, but obviously no engine damage. But the other car I want to point out there, you're used to seeing the Tide ride. Well, you still got the Tide colors, and you see it on the camera here, but WBD Diecast is on another car, on Beasley's car, with the Tide colors. So get used to that also this season. And not to mention, you don't see this in because it's, you know, we mentioned Discord a little bit ago, but the team name channel is now known as Team Name with WBD Diecast, which I joked with Wesley last week, and I said, man, you got the politicking down right here. You hang out in the 500 Mafia channel, you got all those friends. You put your sponsor on all the team name channels, so now you got all those friends. And it's funny because Chad made a comment to me, I think it was during a podcast interview or whatever when we did Monday night. By the way, podcast on Spotify, iHeartMedia, and on YouTube right now with Chad Coleman. Make sure you check that out. Coleman said, yeah, we're going to have to fix that.
I'll tell you, if you can get Chad talking, there's a lot of interesting stories come out of him.
I had a whole nother story come out of him last night off the air before we went on the air about his racing and stuff that he did in real life that, you know, we covered it on the podcast but didn't get to the added bonus stuff. So, man, he's going to be one I'm going to have to bring on a second time just to dissect some of the things he's done in racing, especially in his actual racing career. Modifying a Ford Mustang and racing it in a 4-banger class. Yeah, figure that one out. Nelson Rivera back on track into 22. Good to see him there after his incident earlier. 45 laps in. So we pitted at lap 30 for those who don't have the telemetry up. So that means obviously can easily go to lap 70, but still a 2-stop race here. So it makes you wonder, do we short fill here a little bit and maybe make the pit stop shorter? Do you go as long as you can? I mean, this is kind of interesting strategy now because you're going to need 2 stops to run 80 or 90 laps, I should say.
Driver is the crew chief in a lot of cases. They make the decisions. Every once in a while they partner with a spotter or somebody else that helps kind of figure out the strategy for them. But most of the drivers, they know every inch of this racetrack and all the mileage and strategies, and you know, they'll figure it out, and we'll have to see how it plays out. I was watching Patrick Blundell, always a scary moment when the field catches a slower car. He's 2 laps down. He's running 43rd, and we should talk about the ability to run 47 cars with a handful of pit stops, pit stalls that are shared by drivers. They'll go in and pit in their pit stall. They won't see anybody else. And so 2 or 3 drivers may have the first pit stall or the second pit stall or the third pit stall. In this case, we got 42 drivers on the lead lap, with Blundell being 2, and then Sigmund, Donaldson, Calantoni, and Rivera being multiple laps down as they're there getting their damage fixed. I saw Blundell come out of the corner. Well, I'm not sure if he's running with damage because that car is just all over the place.
Well, you bring that up, and I want to show pit road real quickly here. This pace car, this actually used to be a spot on pit road. This was spot 1 out of 43 all the way down to the other end. But when NASCAR shrank down to 40 cars, basically they condensed pit road. So they took away the first and the last pit stall. Or I'm sorry, they took the first 2 pit stalls away. So basically 3, which is where Dalton is, back to 43, is the 40 stalls now you see on track. So where does that become important? Well, that's where you only have 40 stalls available now for 47 cars. So what do you do with the other 7 spots? Well, you share them. So basically, I believe it starts at the front of pit road. 41st through 47th place starters actually share the stalls. So you'll see them actually go through each other in pit at the same time in the same stall. But you get that. A lot of tracks, like for instance, Hickory comes to my mind. The short track in North Carolina only has 16 pit stalls. So think about the sharing you got to do there if you run 30 cars, if you're even able to. But yet you get a track like Daytona's road course or, Road America, Le Mans, something like that. You get 64 cars out there to race. You got what you got. So, all right. So we have currently 49 laps in the books, coming up on 125 miles next time by in the Daytona 500K. It is Tyler Dalton who's been the leader the whole entire race pretty much here. We could say dominating, but he's leading the pack basically, we'll call it here, as he's done so here pretty much the whole entire race. Let's step away for a quick second, come back, and get you more racing from the World Center of iRacing, or racing in general, Daytona International Speedway, on the Captain Esports Network.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC811 app. Know what's below before you dig. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are at Daytona. I just got done reading a funny tweet. I was checking on tweets to make sure everything was clear in the 500, and of course, the first tweet I come across, do you remember how the Rolex 24 ended?
Yes. They
shortened by a minute and a half. Now, of course, they say the Daytona 2024 is the 497 and a half. All right. Patrick Colby leads. Dustin Hall, as we're back with you. So for the first time, I think it's the farthest back Tyler Dalton's been all night. You got the 15 of Alan Wild there in third. And look on the bottom side, you mentioned Mike Peters, that Raising Cane's 95 car. He's coming up here looking to lead some laps. Dustin Hall in that one car. I have a feeling he's going to be a breakout guy this year.
A lot of new names this year, more than I think we've seen at any given point at the start of the season, and a lot of unknowns, but also a lot of high talent coming in, and it should make an interesting mix this year. Is one thing I'm going to talk about real quick. We were just talking about Blundell and his car not handling. A new thing that they added not too long ago, Chris, is that they tell you how much of the damage is fixed.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, they will explain to you is,
one car goes spinning. Alan Wild.
Gathered it up. Holy cow, I have no idea. He did a full, looks like, pirouette over there on the apron on the entry to pit road and was able to just grab a gear and drive out of it.
Great save there by the 15. Got some Bulldogs on the hood, and he drove that thing like a Bulldog. Let's see what took.
That was one of the word out of line things.
And I think was. Oh, he cut down on the 95 there and had to go saving it. Apparently he thought he got cleared or something.
So he got down in the grass and was able to still wrestle it. Tell you right there, he should have went to the wall. Great job trying to wrestle that car back. Here he went back into grass. Hard thing to do to come back up on the banking there at speed.
Let's back it up further here and go crash cam. Yeah, there he goes. I wasn't quick enough to get back to that car. I'm firing the producer again.
Heading down there, I thought for sure he was going to tag that inside wall. That's a hard one to yank back.
Here we go. Did he? You know what? Let's back it up a little more. Let's just back it up general here. Did he have contact? No, he. Oh, you know what? He got tight. He was pushing the car in front of the 28, got loose, it looks like, and maybe had to go up and chase it. Got out of the gas and just lost momentum, and 95 finished him off. That's what I see there.
I tell you, we've seen turn 4 be a little bit treacherous for these guys. They're not able to hold the nose when they come up. The car pushes up or slides, and we have not seen a lot of good results over there in the corner. We got away with one there, I think. And fortunately, we carry on as the field is coming down on another slow car.
Hey, the late, great Ken Squire, forever a broadcasting legend in racing, said it best. Calamity Corner, turn 4 at Daytona.
Yeah.
So we watch Hall, and that's Calantoni, by the way. He's gotten back on track. He is about 18 laps down right now. Appreciate Andrew Christopher joining us here tonight. Also Matthew Cloquet, who's watching over on Facebook. Mentioned Aaron Thomas, too, who finished 14th in the Captain Esports Network 500 car. Congrats on that run.
I'll tell you, it's a treasury for Anthony to come back out here, but if they have one big crash, it eliminates a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
You have to think of the big picture here. He could just come out and make laps. He may get 1 or 2 positions, but later in the year, when we're starting to tally who can or cannot make the final championship run, him returning to the racetrack might actually be the differentiator. So kudos to him for sticking it out. It's tough, the run right there.
Mike Kelly leading the race right there for a split second before Hall took the lead. But yeah, I mean, one big wreck, and all of a sudden Calantoni goes from finishing 45th all the way to finishing 35th. And that's 10 points. 10 points can be everything. Not to mention you do get bonus points for leading a lap and stuff. And I'm not sure if he did before the wreck happened. But obviously those elements come into play, and every point matters in this league. With the way the Cup Series is set up, there's no drop weeks. It's straight up the best 20 drivers make the playoffs, and you have to make all of your starts except for 4. You can miss 4 races pretty much, as Mons chops the nose off of Fryery there. Getting it to the top side. I think that was Mons. Just peeking around. Now it's Benefield. Sorry, Benefield in a similar painted looking car to Mons. You could miss up to 4 races. After that, you eliminate yourself from playoff contention. And that's in the Sim500 rulebook. Nothing has changed this season. When it comes to the playoffs, it will be the same 20 drivers racing for 5 races. Then we drop to 10, and then you run 5 more races for the championship, which I believe is at Vegas again this year, or at Las Vegas again this year. As I am going to go peek at the schedule so I can fact check myself.
I'm going to ask you to do something, Chris, if you would. Let's go in car with the number 9 of Bobby Wetzel.
Let's do it. Bobby Wetzel on board. Producer, get on it. If I can find Wetzel. There he is. Okay, 17th position. There he is. I'm like, why can't I find him? Let's go on board. The 9 car. Here you go. Inside car. Let's go.
So from the view, what we want to talk about here is how much the cars move around. Go into the corner. You see the cars, they look stable. When you're in the car, you could see how much he's turning the wheel. And his car has been rather stayed, as I could say. He's been hiding that high line, just kind of not pushing the envelope, leaving a lot of space. But look at all the cars in front of him, from the outside wall to the inside wall, off the yellow line, in, out, how much he could see. Here, the top 12 cars were not in view there for a period. As he comes off the corner and he looks out the windshield, this is the driver's view right here. When he gets here, you see the car in front of him move out to the right. You see the cars to the left dance. Now the entire field is just not visible to him.
Yeah.
And this is what it's like every lap for these drivers.
The best comparison, this is the camera I had. Is that Chad Coleman up there going 3 wide with Dustin? And look at the check up there. It just killed the outside line.
And so something just happened there, and he has no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
He has to anticipate that if there's a problem, he's got to find a hole. And as a driver, you're running behind the car in front of you. You see all that movement up front, and you go, okay, something just happened. Where am I going to go? You immediately make that connection. As you see drivers up against the fence, you're really thinking to yourself, I need an exit lane. Is it open to my left? Can I stay to the right? Should I put it against the wall and scrub the speed off?
Now,
all of that process is every moment you run down the backstretch, through the corners, off the banking.
To add to that, Kevin, I'm moving the camera right now. That's where you're seeing me look over to the left here and see Glenn Campbell and stuff like that. I had the same vantage point in my race because this is the camera that literally, I didn't touch it. I jumped in the car and this is how I ran it. And as you see, you can't see in front of you. So you're looking ahead up there where I see Tyler Dalton. Okay, he just made the move to topside Kelly. It looked like Mike went to block. But that's the part, too, about Discord, where you can get in and you have drivers run your race. But sometimes it's like, for instance, on Sunday, it was me and Stephen Miles were in Discord together running. And Miles was in another split. So I was on my own. So a lot of it was me having to judge off of what I was seeing in front of me and listening to people communicate. And if you don't have somebody up there, hey, checking up here or checking up there, all of a sudden you're going to be in somebody's back end and you could be wrecking. So you got to kind of trust who is out there with you on the track, to tell you, hey, inside line's checking up or outside line's checking up. And you got to kind of watch who's making what moves, because every move you make, if it's the 95 there, Peters, who's 2 cars up there in the inside lane, if he moves over to the right and gets in the outside line, it's going to check up you. If you get somebody maybe side drafting, look up there with Dalton, how he's off center with Kelly. Another car up there, you see Dalton getting a little free. That could check up this outside line, especially with this gap now from Wetzel. So it's a matter of just kind of keeping track of the runs and knowing what's coming where. And just being able to judge it, I guess, would be the right way to word it. Homestead, by the way, they'll finish out the season. Sorry.
Some of these drivers know. They just know instinctively. They've been running so many laps and understand spatial relationships and all of that stuff. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to
There's
do.
a check up inside lane.
On top of it for the whole race. You never get a break here.
Now, Bobby's being very conservative here. He's backing off Randy Oken, giving him plenty of room. So if there's a checkup, he has time he gets to run up here to him. He's going to get out of the gas and just kind of ride here and back off him a little bit. That's part of just being conservative, maybe saving fuel or something like that. So, I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. You could be like Kevin DeBrown, get up there and just wham and start pushing, or somebody who's aggressive like that. So, yeah, still plenty of things. We're just past halfway, though. 57 laps to go now. Still got one more pit stop. As you see, Josh Parker's moved the 81 car to the front. And that inside line, he's got Mike Montesi. He's got Patrick Colby, who's having a great run. The 17 to Kevin Stone. Then top side, you got Mike Kelly being pushed by Tyler Dalton, who's got Kevin King, who's, I think he was the one I thought was Chad Coleman. Because here's Coleman all the way back in the back. By the way, 27th position. As we, let's take a ride here with Chad and see what he's seeing right now. Which, what's the whole pack?
And you would think, well, I'm going to ride back here, and if something happens, I'm going to jump on the brakes. One thing we didn't talk about is as much as you look out the front windshield, you're peeking up and looking at the mirror, trying to find out how close the car is behind you. And if something happens where you need to jam on the brakes or take evasive action, in that split second that you have to make your decision and execute, you need to know what's going on behind you. Maybe the car behind you just drifted up and closed that space like we saw Bobby Wetzel do. Or maybe they're beating your bumper off and you don't like that, you're going to pull out. At this stage of the race, when you're at lap 65 of 120, you're just past halfway, that's usually when you start to take a little more risk.
Right here for Chad Coleman. Right here from Chad Coleman's view. Sorry, Kev. Is in the corners the only view you have of 3-4 rows ahead of you, up to the front of the pack. Otherwise, you're on the straightaway. You can't see anything. Look right here. I mean, you see Ron Holyfield's back. You see a couple of cars to your left. You don't see anything. Really. Now you start to see everything. So, I mean, if something happens on the straightaway, I mean, look right there. Okay, who's that? Was that Montesi, I think, that just cut up there on Yoakum? Watch this outside line check up now. Just from that one move here. You can already see. You see how Coleman got out of the gas here because he knew what happened up there. That's anticipating, knowing what's going to happen in that kind of thing. So it's just it's such a mental game. And in this car, I'm one that likes to ride in the back when I race at these tracks, and I couldn't yesterday. I couldn't at all. I had to sit in the pack kind of uncomfortably and do some things that I wasn't comfortable with just to stay in it. And even then I lost the pack twice, but got lucky. We've been good racing here, though. We've had, 2 cautions here so far, which is the same amount as last year. We are about 5 laps away from green flag pit stops, which, oh, by the way, is a whole nother monster let's talk about, Kev, because these cars have to get to the bottom lane to get to pit road.
You drop off the banking, you're slamming on the brakes, you're trying to get down to 60 miles an hour. For one of the first pit stalls, you need to really get slowed up and to the inside. A lot of drivers will call their call, meaning tell everybody when they're going to pit so the drivers around them know. But even then, first pit stops of the year are always rather challenging at racetrack like Daytona.
One thing I heard today, I rode on board with Chase Elliott's car the whole entire 500 with the NASCAR Drive website. And the one thing that I heard him say, and it was kind of interesting, after the first pit stops of the race, apparently the Ford drivers, according to Chase's radio, he never saw a single Ford driver wave their hand out the window like they were pitting. And then the spotter came out and said, well, I didn't see anything up here either knowing they were pitting. So, which kind of was like, oh, wow, that's kind of iRacing like. You got to call your pits out, especially at a track like this, because you are going to get ran over. You're going to have people that just don't get the word or whatever. And it's going to get very, you just saw, look at the whole outside lane just move down. Kelly, Dalton, those guys just came to the bottom here. So I think you're going to see pit stops here in about a moment. You're going to have to get below that yellow line and get from, 190 to 195 miles an hour down to 60 here at Daytona. By the time you get to a yellow line with a blue cone, which as these cars come to pit road or get close to coming to pit road, there's a green cone on that side, and actually you don't get to see it. But the blue cone's on the other side over there. I promise you it's over there. I thought I had a camera from that side, but I don't.
I was listening to Josh Berry during that race, and one of the things they did talk about was, we don't know when the Fords are going to pit, but they all just got to the bottom lane.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what they were watching. When they saw them all get to the bottom lane, they assumed they were all going to drive off to pit road at the same time. It's not too dissimilar here. You see all the team name guys go to the bottom. It's kind of like they're going to make a stock run or something. You know that they're heading to pit road.
Which is interesting to think about. Did anybody say anything about John Hunter Nemechek being below him coming to his pit stop?
They had a rather I was listening when that all happened. A rather interesting conversation, I have to say.
Just kind of curious.
It was not appreciative. In any manner, shape, or form. Actually, they were quite polite, I have to say, considering. He's a driver we've not seen a lot of noise from yet, but he's almost always in the mix when he shows up, is Justin Fuller in that number 51. He's just kind of riding out back here right now, which is highly uncharacteristic of Justin. I know he was hanging on the back of Chad Coleman for a period of time, and I'm not sure if that's what the play is for him, but you don't normally see that 21 running in the 51 running in the 24th position as one car pulls off I believe in the 93 and
Mike,
the 95.
yeah, Mike Peters. Mike Peters in the 95 on pit road, and a lot of guys towards the back. Rod Mitten, Alan Wild, Scott Simley, those guys all in pit road towards the back. So here we go, yeah, with the start of pit stops. But again, you see this outside line is kind of taking control with Kelly and those guys at the bottom. I thought they were moving to the bottom to get ready for pit stops, but they've allowed this whole outside lane to freight train through, and now they come to the bottom here, which I think you're going to see pit stops here, I'm thinking, because the 60 moves up and stays up there with Jose. So here we go. I think it's feeding time at the zoo.
And you got it right.
For a couple cars.
4 cars drop off, one of them being Tyler Dalton. So he's going to leading this race to Kevin King as in formation they head to pit road.
This reminds me of an interesting situation yesterday I had in my NIS race. I had a guy question me because I asked him. Here's a shared pit stall moment. Dustin Hall and Tyler Dalton. Same pit stall. Sharon.
I think I saw Jorgensen slide through his, so he's going to be a little off the mark here.
We'll see here. 4 tires and fuel for everybody. And everybody takes off.
Able to stay with them. All 4 of those cars came out relatively close.
So yesterday, I had a car in front of me that I was running with, and we actually worked together well. But I said, "Hey, what position did you start?" And he said, "Where did I start?" I said, "Yeah." He said, 18th. I said, "Okay." I said, "I started 10th." So I said, "Well, let me stay at the bottom when we come to pit road. Or I'm sorry, I'll go to the top. You stay on the bottom because you're going to get to your pit stall first." After I said that, he's like, "Oh, all right, that makes sense." You don't see that a lot because remember, you get on pit road, people don't kind of communicate. And you don't have a spotter. So if you don't know where that guy started below you and all of a sudden you hang a left, you take each other out. Josh Berry, like today. Josh Parker coming to pit road.
Dropping off. Josh Parker, yeah.
By himself there, along with the Ron Holyfield car there to 21. He comes to pit road, first stall in. Of course, the number on the left you see on the bottom of the screen, that is the total delta time on pit road. The gold number, that is their pit stop number of how long they take on pit road. You see the leaders putting a lap on Mike Peters as these cars roll off. But the other key factor here is making sure you are organized when you come on to and off of pit road together. You saw earlier in the actual 500, the Fords pitted early in that race, and what happened? They looked more disorganized than some families in the world, unfortunately. Oh, and around goes Jose Gonzalez, gets turned. He was on the track.
And on the front stretch, also a couple cars in the grass.
Oh, and Jose gets clobbered on pit road by Friary. No caution as it's on pit road. Who's on the track?
Wow, there was a huge incident on the front stretch also.
No caution from it as I'm looking for it.
And the 9 of Bobby Wetzel, I think his car got killed somewhere along the line. His car is duck walking down turn 2 to the back straightaway.
Bobby Wetzel, you mentioned, yeah, he's got that car's got some damage, unfortunately. And again, this comes down to communication. Let's go back here and see. I mean, we can even find it. The leaders are in now, but
yeah, Wetzel's the one that clipped the 51. I'm sure he's.
You know what, Jose's trying to come to pit road from the middle of the track.
Yeah. That's a pretty hard hit on his left front, tore the nose off the car.
And that was a lick from Friary coming to pit road. I mean, I don't know if he ran out of gas or I don't know. That just, at that point, you almost got to kind of take the L here and just go on another lap.
Yeah, I wonder if that had something to do with it.
I mean, look, he's checking up. He's trying to get. I want to get to the bottom. Trying to get to the bottom. Trying to get and gets ran over.
No, I think you got to go look at that again. I think he came off the corner. He was slow to the car in front of him, and he got a little sideways and had to collect the car. And the 44 tagged him. I don't think he was trying to go to pit road. He ended up sliding across the line. But I think that was just an incident where cars were checking up, and see,
Nah,
he's slow here, and he didn't carry enough speed, and the 44 tagged him. And look at the contact to the right there. You saw Bobby Wetzel come in and bang the right rear corner of the 50. That was just pit stops going bad.
Let's go on board here.
There were a couple drivers that were one lap down from pitting. They were thrilled to death that the yellow didn't come out there. It would have been a trap. You see, his car got loose, and he never made the left. I think he was just trying to keep the car straight after being 3 wide there, and unfortunately, the 44 just didn't realize how much speed he lost.
Well, unfortunately, Jose going to be off the track. Wetzel with some heavy damage as pit stops complete. Mike Kelly now to the front. As we have 43 laps to go the window. Oh, who's going to make it to the finish on green? We are right outside of it. In this Daytona 500K, and let's step away for a quick second. Get another break in real quick while everything is calm for the split second. Come back and get you to the finish here of this Daytona 500K on the Captain Esports Network.
What a nice day to install my new mailbox.
Hi there, friend. I'm Dig Safely Man. My job is to ensure you call 811 before you dig.
Why do I need to do that?
Vital utilities like natural gas and electric run just beneath the Earth's surface. Damaging them can cause service interruption, environmental hazards, or personal injury.
I thought only contractors had to call before they dig, so homeowners do too.
Call 3 business days before you dig unless you have X-ray vision. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are here at Daytona, 79 laps complete, as it is the 2 of Mike Kelly leading this Daytona 500K. So, what would be more stressful, Kev, than having somebody distract you while leading the Daytona 500K?
I can't say.
I don't know. Why don't we pull Mike Kelly up here while he's leading this race? Mike, you doing okay?
Yeah, I was wondering if I was going to hear from you.
I was waiting for you to get into a spot where it's like, all right, it looks calm for a minute. Because it's been kind of wild out there.
As he's pushing me.
So you're leading this race. You got the 88 behind you. I know you can't make it on fuel.
No, I'm in a bit of a predicament. If it goes green.
Right. Do you think it goes green?
I don't know. I doubt it. But I'm not even sure I can make it without pitting. If it, we get a yellow, I might have to go in and get some fuel maybe. So it could cost me some track. I'm probably going to lose track position or run out of fuel, one or the other, but we'll just see how it plays out. Everything's going good so far. Exalted Camaro ZL1 is the rocket.
So the question here is, do you think anyone else can make it?
Well, it seems like a whole group of guys made it to 44, 45 to go, but I don't know if they'll be able to save as much fuel, because we're not in a big pack right now. So I would say there's possibly a small group of people who can do it, but everybody that was running up front through that whole last segment is probably going to come up short. I'm a lot short. I'm showing 9 laps short, so not even close for me. But if those other guys can do it, God bless them.
That sounds fair enough, my man. Hey, I appreciate your time. I know you got to go race the lead here, or lead to. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyways, good job.
You had a good time with cruise control on here, so appreciate you bringing me up. And hopefully I will at least be able to talk to you after the race one way or another.
Sounds good. Well, the third place car just blinked behind you, so good luck.
Thanks, man.
No problem. Mike Kelly, turn 1 heroes. I was waiting all night because, every time I was like, man, I pull him up. He's in a pack right now. Let's wait. No, he's in a pack right now. Let's wait. And finally, we got the chance. Thank you, Mike Kelly.
He's okay.
I think so.
I think he's safe. In the context of fuel, everybody pitted with pretty much the same time frame. Maybe 2 or 3 laps they have. But if he's 9 laps short, there's nobody else that's within that window. Closest one might be Macklin and, let's see, Joe Hudson. They pitted together. They're all running in a pack. One thing that we were talking about when you took the break there, Chris, is conveyor belt. We finally got ourselves with cars running all over every aspect. Every straightaway, every corner right now has cars running on it, with this top group being the biggest group, led by Kelly. But the question lies with the second group, where you have the 60, the 43, the 75, the 30, you know, the three-time winner, all trying to track down that front pack, and they are behind by quite a bit. They're about 7 seconds back.
Well, the first thing I do want to mention is, yeah, sometimes you get the Christmas light strand out for the first time in a holiday season. You got that one light that's missing. We lost Donnie Leah, who was running third. Gone. All of a sudden. He disappeared on screen as we were watching the lead, and he hasn't come back, unfortunately. It's a tough break for the 29. But yes, and going back to what you're saying here, the one concern I have right now, you go back here to Karlovage, who is running in the 60 car 14th position. Joe Hudson has been no closer than where he is right now to that 60 car. He needs to be on that back bumper. Stoney Benfield needs to be on that back bumper of the 43, but instead now they're side by side. So guess what's about to happen? Those leaders are walking away.
Yeah, they went from a 7-second gap to an 8-second gap.
Just like that.
I wonder if some of these drivers are working on getting up there to lead this group, as you see Stoney make his way through. I wonder if Karlovich is doing something where he's dropping back so that he can get to someone or save a little fuel, as Macklin just picked him up with Stenzel right behind him in the personal comfort number 42.
Yeah, this comes down to they need to pick a line, and they need to get single file and push. And basically what I mean by push is the fourth place car needs to push to third, third needs to push second, second needs to push first. You can get that lined up. You can start working on catching these cars. It's a very complicated system, but it can work because the leaders up here, as we jump up here, are not really pushing each other. They're just down here going for a Sunday drive, like Mike Kelly said. So how do you catch them? Well, let's go back to this pack here. You need to get Stoney Benfield on the back bumper of Stenzel, to on the back bumper of Macklin, to on the back bumper of Karlovage. As you see right here, there's Stoney now going to push the forward. This is exactly what we're seeing now. You push these guys.
You saw a reset with Macklin coming in there. Macklin's going to be the one that's going to push them up to that front group.
I guess not a better person to trust, huh?
Yeah. I'd like to be looking out my rear view winner and a 3-time consecutive winner rear view mirror and see that, as that would give me quite a bit of confidence.
So we'll watch the lap times here. Started the next lap, and let's see what they run across the track. I actually got the lap times. As a matter of fact, let's do this. I usually do this for the finish of the race.
46.412 to a 46.822 for your leader, so they're 4 tenths faster.
Let's pull up, to the left here. I'll pull up this screen here for a second and let you see the lap times as they cross the line. They should flash across the screen. Now they will. And you'll see where they run here as they cross the start-finish line to complete lap number 85. So 47.2, 47.1, a flat from Dalton, this one. So let's wait now for the second pack. They're going to come by here in about 2 more seconds. That's a half a second right there at least gained on the lead just from that lap. So they're getting organized back there, and that is going to help. Not to mention this pack is pretty big. And kind of separating a little bit. That's how you're going to catch this pack.
I think about what Mike said. I don't think you're going to see a caution. I think this thing runs green to the finish this way. Maybe this top group will spice it up a little with 10 to go, but right now, with 32 to go, I think everybody's got their bed made, unless we get a push going wrong or somebody decides they need to create a caution by a push going wrong somewhere in the back of the pack, which, you know, it's like roll-bar painting. It can happen. Right now, I don't know.
Well, they've knocked off a good second and a half here in the first couple of laps. But I see a lot of side-by-side going on up front now. And you can hear when Macklin gets in the back of that car, you can hear the RPM rise up. As Tyler Dalton, Justin Fuller, who just went a lap down in that 51 car, the 28 of Colby, now try to work in wow, there's my English. Try to start working the bottom.
You seen that mixed third car in line there is the 17 of Kevin Stone. He is running 33rd. First car 1 lap down, sitting in that lucky dog position. If somebody wants a caution, it would be Kevin Stone for sure. Justin Fuller is the car that's trying to chase him for that position. And he's 2 cars behind him. So there's a race within a race right there in the middle of that pack as to who can be the lucky dog for this. And what's interesting about that, Chris, is if the yellow comes out, you know that Stone is going to go to pit road if he's the heir apparent and get fuel. Fuller, he might be able to stay out and get a wave around, but unfortunately for him, he's not going to have enough fuel to make the distance. So he needs something to happen here where he can get around that 17.
Yeah, the fuel question here, I'm kind of studying numbers here right now in my head here. I don't have the pit. I think maybe I do have it set up. Let me see here. It's been a lot of yeah, it's not set up. Sorry. There's a lot of editing I've done to this timing and scoring. So some things I still haven't had a chance to even work on. But let's see. 72 to leaders came in at 73 for Colby and Arnold. 75 for Beasley. 76 for a couple of cars. So let's use the 76 number from 120 is 44 laps. I'm sorry. I don't think you can do 44 laps. Unless you find
something. There were a couple drivers that said 42 to 44. I'm not sure that I believe them, but that is what they were saying.
Well, and not to mention,
you have to slow the pace down and be off the throttle.
And you better run the bottom lane, because right now the top side is actually taking a long way home, if you know what I mean. Because remember, NASCAR, when they create the distance of these tracks, when they tell you this track is this long, they measure the center of the track. IndyCar does the bottom. So that's where, if you ever see the Texas Motor Speedway, sometimes they mention 1.5 mile racetrack, but yet IndyCar's like, oh, it's a 1.446 mile track or something like that. Daytona's 2.5 miles at the middle of the track. So if you go below the middle part, you're running 2.4 something miles. If you go to the top, you're running like 2.6 miles. Obviously, that 2.6 adds up after a while in a longer distance around the track. So these guys up here at the top, I'm doubting very much that they are going to make it to the finish of this race on fuel without one more stop. Let's go back here to car lavage. And those guys that pitted at lap 76, they're down here on the bottom. There's a chance. Now, car lavage might be in trouble because he's the bottom or the first car in line. But you get some of these cars that are kind of hanging back here. The Joe Hudsons, the Mike Peters, who's in that battle there, the 4 of Montesi. Those guys are probably saving fuel while they're running in this pack.
I'm really curious as to why this front group is running the top line. I'm not sure what the benefit is there for that. In fact, we were questioning whether or not that second group could get mustered enough to gain. They were 8 seconds back at one point. 5 seconds just broke under the 5-second barrier. So they're coming, and we're about to join them up with this front pack. Now, if there's anybody in that front group that I know that can save fuel, you've got Dalton, you've got King, you've got Jimmy Coleman, Joey Jatina, Chad Coleman. These are veterans. These guys know what it is. If anybody's going to squeeze a little more fuel out of it and make it to the finish, these are the drivers that are going to be able to do that.
Now, saying that, going back to your distance comment, the bigger number you need to watch is the distance between Jimmy Coleman and car lavage. It's only 2 seconds. Once that number gets to the 1.2, that draft right there will start getting this draft right here off of the 54 and even the 9 of Bobby Wetzel. And once that happens, this pack is going to be coming with a head of steam coming to this pack here. So, yeah, it's about, what, a 4-second separation now between 1st and 14th, but it's even smaller between 14th and 13th. And as they actually are going to separate in their own pack here. So, yeah, fuel's the big question right now, but anything can happen in these 25 laps, and I really think now as this pack comes together, we could be in line for something big time to take place here in these last 25 laps of this Daytona 500K. 2 cautions so far, just like last year, but the difference was after the final pit stops, the field separated. They're coming back together right now, so I'm kind of interested to see what's going to take place here. But more importantly, thank you, viewers, for watching here tonight. Appreciate all of you. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Otherwise, we appreciate you coming back as always. And hello to, let's see, who else has checked in since we, of course, Wesley watching tonight. Obviously not very happy with his result. And Obviously, John Mustian joining us too, and others. So appreciate everybody watching as the packs are together now.
Yeah, this second group, led by, we were just talking about it, Adam Benefield. He is just a touch 4 seconds back, but I suspect that these drivers will be able to chase back to Josh Parker, who's hanging there in the 8th position. And can't forget Mr. Super Speedway, Richard Beasley. He's won so many of these Speedway races in that front group. Never count him out as the laps get down to the end.
You got to watch now to see, because here's a situation where Joey Jatina has stayed off the back of Kevin King. Chad Coleman is right there on the backside of Jatina. And in order for this pack, I mean, they've kind of held steady at 2.1 seconds, but they're going to need to stay together to get to that lead pack. And I think that's going to be the question at hand. But now we're starting to see the racing pick up here for 4th. And look, the top 3 now have started to separate as Fuller, who's a lap car, battling with the other lap car of Kevin Stone. And there goes Fuller into the wall hard off to 28.
That has got to draw caution.
That's going to bring the caution out. Justin Fuller goes head first in the outside wall off the back straightaway.
That was a head knocker. Holy cow, that was a hard hit.
And Fuller not going to be happy about that move.
There's a lot of drivers excited right now. They just reset and they're out of the fuel equation. This is a completely different race with 22 to go.
Did they, though? Because we know what's coming now. I say that respectfully, that we are going to get some wildness now. I'm waiting. I'm watching Fuller here. I want to see if this is going to tell me how mad he is.
Yeah, I think Fuller knew that Patrick Colby was trying to help him. Patrick's car did not turn down off the bottom there. What a great job done by the 10 of Beasley to miss that whole thing.
All right, see, Fuller checks up now, so I think he was just trying to catch pace. I was just watching just in case something were to pop up there, but good job on Fuller's part. Let's get you the replay here. Leaders, oh, you know what? This probably will bring everybody to pit road.
Kevin Stone is
Bam.
The driver. Look at the 10.
How did Beasley miss that?
He went all the way down to North Carolina over there. He just hooked the left. He must have seen it coming.
Zoinks!
Hit the nose of the car. Went down and waved to the guy eating a hot dog standing along the fence on the backstretch, and then pulled back up out on the racetrack.
All right, I'd be more impressed if there's a guy with a hot dog stand on the backstretch of Lake Lloyd.
Yeah.
That would be impressive.
It was Bob Dillner. Didn't you see him down there?
Jatina's sharing pit stalls with Wesley Donaldson here. As pit stops going on, Joe Hudson has stayed out. Tyler Dalton wins the race off pit road. Looks like Eric Arnold. Is that right? Wow, Eric Arnold up the 3rd after being involved in a wreck earlier? That's him right there. Look at that.
Well, he was hanging.
Yeah.
He's been hanging all night quietly.
I just didn't realize he was up there.
We got a really eclectic mix here. Not to mention, how about Mark Jorgensen and Patrick Colby and Adam Benfield and the new guys? You know, you would think, looking at Sim500 regulars, that they feel like they're untouchable.
Right.
And it's cool to see some of the new guys right here in the mix as we get to the end of this thing we're going to have 20 to go here as we come around to the green.
Yeah, it wasn't a matter of me not knowing who Eric Arnold was. It was more I was caught off guard that I thought Eric Arnold was out of the race pretty much after that wreck earlier, but boy, was I wrong.
Any of those drivers who had lingering damage are able to sit there for a while. They take a long time for these cars to cycle around. this 2.5 mile speedway. So if you have damage, now's the time to put your pit crew to work, have them straighten out some of the corners on your car, get it working better in the draft, get it driving better. One of the things that we touched upon earlier in the broadcast, Chris, is you get wheel damage, and your spotter tells you that they can fix all the damage, but maybe not on that wheel. And what I found is my right front wheel was damaged so badly that every time I pitted, I could look at the tire temperatures, and the right front had been dragging all the way around the racetrack.
Oh, geez.
It was red, and it was terrible. So any of those drivers, I'm thinking, Fuller, of course, just pegged the wall, but earlier we saw heavy contact for the 9 of Bobby Wetzel. This would be an opportunity, if he didn't get all his damage fixed, to go in and get some more work done. And right now we have 2 cars, Nick Jobs and Brian Workman, running 1 lap down. So they'd like to see one more yellow rag wave over this field before the night's over.
So the Bommarito Automotive number 43 car of Joe Hudson has stayed out, and we must assume that he is able to save enough fuel to make it to the finish of this race. One can assume. Tyler Dalton, outside lane, is going to be second. Eric Arnold, third. Mark Jorgensen in fourth, and then Patrick Colby going to be your top 5 as we come to 20 laps to go next time by.
I do not believe you could miss the Patrick Colby car, that neon lime green.
It's
North
a Brighton.
Carolina 811.org.
It is a Brighton.
Glowing as it rolls around the racetrack.
You see Hudson down on the apron. It's, you could call this cheesing in a way, but it's really not. Remember earlier we talked about the distances around the track? The shortest way around this track is on the apron. Less you have to travel, the more gas you save while you save fuel.
That's an interesting strategy there, Cotton.
I'm just saying. It's so you could say it's cheesing in a way, but it's really not. So one thing we owe this to the viewers, by the way, tonight. Appreciate you guys, and I think they did it once on pit road today, which I thought was kind of creative. We're going to keep it on the track, though. Turn it up. Well, we tried. Caution's out. See Scott Stenzo among others who have spun over here on a front straightaway off of turn 4. And caution comes out for the 4th time. Let's, well, I saw cars going everywhere. Looks like Adam Benefield, maybe some damage. Kevin DeBrown, Jimmy Coleman involved. Let's roll the beautiful bean footage and see what took place.
Yeah, that started right out on the front row.
Oh! Hudson got loose, and then Karlovaj gets turned. Macklin gets through it. It looks like Justin Mons would... Oh, no, Macklin's involved. So the 3-time champion involved, and this is actually a big wreck in the end. This is going to start with Hudson getting loose up front. Let's go to the... Hang on, let me hit stop. Crash cam to the leader, and it's going to happen literally right behind these guys. Hudson's going to get loose right there off the bump. Gittino did a great job missing it. You see the 83 going to pit road. There's Mons getting turned. Montesi getting some damage. As cars come piling in. Ron Holyfield with some damage. There's Stenzel. Question how much damage on the 30 car. There's Macklin. He looks okay. But here's something that caught my eye. Let's go on board here with car lavage.
Almost made it through.
Like, there's a part of me that's, should he have slowed down a lot more earlier? But then there's the other part of me that's like, oh, no.
You don't know when you got out back, right? Whether
Right.
He was getting run over.
Which
He
is
was trying
fair.
to shoot the gap. I think the guy who kept his eyes closed was Adam Benefield.
That'll
have
happen
to watch
sometimes.
his in-car.
We will go on board.
He up in the high line here and squirted down across.
And Mike, unfortunately, gets into that 60 car. There's Benefield coming back on the track. All right, let's get you Adam in the 83 car. It's a good time to go to the nose cam, huh?
Yeah. Just be ready to flinch here. This all happened in front of him, not much he could see. Got a little tag, and then the car hooked to left, and he was heading right for the wall. And the car swung back, fortunately, the other way. He was heading for head-on there to the inside safer barrier, and somehow hooked the car and slid through the grass.
So big wreck here at lap 102. Brings us to the caution here. With 17 laps to go, Joe Hudson still has held on to the lead as he continues to save fuel. Anything can happen here. This is... You still got plenty of time.
Well, and I think that the one thing that we had going for us there is a lot of the cars carried a lot of momentum as they were sliding, crashing, careening off of each other. There wasn't any really big hits. I thought for sure Benefield was going to go down and go head on. And somehow, right at the end of his incident, he was able to yank the thing right, swing it, and just like an incident we saw at the real Daytona, he missed the end of that pit road, slid down into the pit spots. I'm not sure if he got a penalty sliding across there, but at minimum, he didn't hit anything substantially. As we look at the field right now, Brian Wertman in the 36th position, 1 lap down, only car 1 lap down. So if we see another caution, that's going to put him back in the mix as we have 35 cars on the lead lap. Everybody stacked back up here behind your leader, Joe Hudson. He's still out front, and with this caution, I have to say, if there was a gas mileage problem for him, Chris, probably sorted it out for him.
Yeah, you would think he's probably saved enough, but I want to go back to that number. You said 35 cars still on the lead lap out of the 47 that have actually started this race. And again, we appreciate the viewers who have hung out here tonight. Had a pretty good number a little bit ago for the race, but obviously the exciting part is about to hit us here in this Daytona 500K, and that is the last 15 laps of this race, if not added overtime and so much and to go here. Let's see. We've got a lot of interesting names. You got the usual cars up front, and you've got the interesting names up front to see who's going to settle it out here as they enter the Geico restart zone. A little checkup way back towards the back here as Hudson gets into the zone. He launches, and here we go, back at it.
Hudson, Arnold, Colby, Dalton, and Parker take the top 5 into turn number 1 as we are under 15 laps to go here at Daytona. Cars switching lane, and we were talking about this, Chris, just before that incident. Remember earlier how much space the drivers were leading in the pack? You watch them here in a lap or two and see how tight they'll be. They're going to be against bumpers.
Kelly got in the back of Jatina and said, "Get going, kid." And that shuffled out Kevin King back there. Here's the 28. Here's an 811 tandem. Any rules about that?
No.
Call before you tandem? I don't know.
Go.
No, I mean pushing with 811. Anyways.
That's digging on the bottom there.
As they go single file for a split second, that is King going back to the bottom, trying to make moves.
They got a little broken up there off of turn number 2, split the pack up a little bit, but now as they gather energy and come back together, this is going to be a full court press.
Oh, Arnold's up in the outside wall as he saves it. Look how he got kind of squeezed up there. There they go. Cars in the wall again. Beasley, there goes Yoakum. The 7 involved is Stone. And I think the 28's in the outside wall. There's a couple cars going backwards.
Cautions, breed cautions, my friend.
Cash register just run for Brian Wertman. Ka-ching. He knew it was coming.
Pretty much.
This is where drivers start to have a little bitter taste in their mouth. They've run the whole race, tried to keep themselves clean, and every once in a while they get caught up in these running sessions up the south, and it gives them a sour taste. As pretty big incident over there.
Yeah, see.
Actually, look at all that pavement they have to work with.
Well, there's actually more there now. But, let me go. Let's go crash cam. And it's going to happen up here. You see Arnold gets up in the wall. And that's what I thought. 28 gets down to 7. But then you see the 10 gets into Parker and the 81. So it actually is going to start up this way. And we almost have 2 wrecks in one here.
Pretty positive. There's 2 cars came together.
Oh no, Coleman got in the side of Parker.
Yeah, not that incident, but there's another incident out behind them about 100 yards.
Correct, yeah, and that's the one with Arnold and them. So yeah, you're going to see 2 wrecks here, but starts Coleman gets in the 81, and then you look farther back, you're going to see Yoakum get turned, and the 7 gets turned with the both Stones get involved. Kevin and Joey, no relation. Alan Wild going to get some damage in it. And I think the 28 gets squeezed into the wall.
Yeah, Alan Wild was.
Oh, and Wild goes up and then he goes up and clobbers Gerald Liddy's.
To the racetrack, yeah.
What in the world?
Across the racetrack, and the 96 plugged him. Yeah, there was all kinds of stuff going on over there on the back straight, super stretch.
That reminds me a lot of yesterday in the Xfinity race in Atlanta, where Glenn Campbell and I forget the other car hit each other like an hour after the wreck happened.
He's backwards here and he turns it around. He starts to pull away. You see that car on the left turning around doing the same thing. And then the car comes up onto the racetrack, I think, to get off the grass. And as he turns right, he got plugged in the back by the 96 who was trying to join back in. There's the other car that was driving backwards.
That was
on
Parker.
The backstretch. He had 2 cars going backwards. So.
Yeah. Wow. Boy, Joe Hudson's looking kind of genius with this sneaky gas move.
Yeah. He was out in front of the melee. And look who's sitting in third.
The boss man.
The boss.
Mike Kelly there in 4th. Kevin King back to 5th. Coleman up to 6th.
We got a Jersey guy running top 5, and it's not Kellen Tony.
Who's our Jersey guy?
Running top 10, I mean, Rod Minton.
Ah.
The number 92. Have we even said his name tonight?
Did we mention it once in a replay? Him in the 92 car. That's the John Cena car.
Yeah.
Be interesting with the Rock saying, gentlemen, start your engines earlier for the 500. Now all of a sudden, here's John Cena, maybe going to victory lane. That would be an interesting connection.
A little host of cars getting service down there on pit road. The 17's down there. The 69 is there. The 28 getting some service.
By the way, next week we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, the old Atlanta layout, 2008 layout. That'll be next Monday night as we start our season up. Atlanta, Las Vegas, Homestead, 3 straight mile-and-a-half tracks to kick off the 2024 campaign. All, well, sort of different types. Atlanta and Homestead, old surfaces, and then Vegas, of course, its own monster of a track out there. But we look forward to being a part of the action starting next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway next Monday night. But first, we got to survive the Daytona 500K.
Yeah, happy President's Day to everybody here in the United States as we get ready to wrap this thing up. Somebody wants to be president for the day of the Daytona International Speedway. Is it going to be Joe Hudson, Tyler Dalton, Joey Jattina, Mike Kelly? Maybe it's going to be Kevin King or Chad Coleman. Those are the top 6 and 7 right now. Rod Minton, Eric Arnold, Stoney Benfield, Mike Montesi are your top 10. And we're going to be within 10 to go here at Daytona in the season opener. And it's anybody's race at this point. And I have to just say sorry to Kevin Stone. He just got back to the lead lap as we talked about. Now sitting 2 laps down with damage on the number 17 as he sits on pit road, the crew trying to get that car sorted down as we get ready to get back to racing.
Yeah, he had to tow back to pit road. I just saw him pop up as jumped to pits. So, all right, let's try it again. Coming to the green, 10 laps to go to settle the 500K. Joe Hudson trying to pull the miracle in the Petty 43 car.
Got a good jump out in front. Comes up to the high line, working with his teammate. Second teammate, Joey Jattina, down by himself. No help, but here comes the 92 to his back bumper.
Who can get it organized the most? Of course, that top side organized quicker. And now Joey stuck in the middle. Gets shuffled back.
The car did not go. It looks like it's down to somewhere. Not sure if you missed a gear.
I think that's that side draft and everything going into play is what happened there. It's what it looks like it never got up to speed. Had one car dragging the wall back there. I didn't see who it was. But coming to 9 laps to go here and getting a push on the bottom side because Dustin Hall in the 1 car. Adam Benefield giving him the push. Kevin King goes down to the bottom. So does Chad Coleman. A lot of cars going down to protect.
This front group is going to be slicing and dicing. They're going to be look like they're working at Jersey Mike's here. Everybody is.
You're making me want to sub.
The bumpers. Kevin King knows how to get it done in this job, and he's working with the veteran Coleman as they work that bottom line. And
look at this.
Charging to the front.
Kelly had the lead for all of a half straightaway. 1 car spinning in the back. It's Jose Gonzalez. It looked like a Gonzalez car, but it's not. It's a white car. Sorry, Jose. I thought it was you. Maybe it was Jose because there's an orange car and there's Jose on track. So caution. What now?
I said that pressure cooker was just about to pop. That yellow took the wind out.
It was Jose gets turned by the 95 of Peters. That did not look weird.
He was just trying to slot in behind him and misjudged it. That's what it kind of looks like. I don't know how else to explain what happened there.
Well, Peters has a modified out here on the track.
Again, we talked about how hard these cars are to steer when the right tires are damaged. You go in the corner and it does just that. It won't turn. Or it does one of those left and jukes right, then jukes left and jukes right. And with the damage on that car, I have to wonder if that's got a little something going on there.
Yeah, I got to go look at something here real quickly. But Kevin, obviously, Chad Coleman has just taken the lead. And it's funny, we just had him on the podcast. And I said to him, you know, off the air, I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to see you go to victory lane as Joe Hudson comes. No, I thought he was coming to pit road. Must have faked him. As you know, I said it'd be kind of cool to see you win the 500 after, you know, doing this interview and stuff. And here he is.
Jackson.
I'm just that would be kind of cool. I'm just putting it out there. Not to show favoritisms. I'm going to go back to the green flag pit stops, which happened at lap 75, if I remember correctly, in the incident with Jose Gonzalez. I'm just going to clarify really quickly. So give me a second here. I'm going to show it on the replay. It's just, unfortunately, I'm the producer too, so I have to go find the incident.
It was clearly the 95 there slipped up. You can see the line on the racetrack as it went around the corner and tell.
Okay, so obviously I was checking to see if the 95 was the one who turned the 26 with the whole incident on pit road.
The sign's in the way.
Yes, the sign gets in the way.
No.
It's not the 95. He's
He
clear.
was there, but I
Okay.
don't believe he had.
Yeah,
plenty
nothing
of
there.
that.
So I was curious there for a second. I'm like, wait a minute here. Did I see this before? But no malicious play, it looks like. So we're good.
I can reverse.
I had to create the broadcast work there. You know what I mean? That was for Miles, by the way, the hand rub. He picks on me for doing this on the broadcast. So Chad Coleman leading this race. Kevin King is second. Talk about some veterans. Look at this. I mean, you got Coleman, Kevin King, Mike Kelly in your top three.
Yeah.
That's some veterans right there.
There's a lot of races under those.
Yeah.
Under those chassis, the three of them, holy cow. There's nothing better than a red and black looking car, I'll tell you. That,
Agree,
that
100%.
29 is sharp.
I love, those are my three colors, red, black, and white.
Interesting guy, Kevin King, away from the racetrack. To see him posting information about his Chevy pickup that he's restoring. And he's been going through every nut and bolt, it looks like, in the off-season restoring his truck. He's got the entire dashboard of his OBS truck pulled apart, and he's putting it back together. And I'll tell you, I have one of those, and it's a brave thing to pull the dash out of that truck. And he's working on the heater core. I see posts from him, you know, following what he has going on. And, you know, when he's not racing, you can tell he's a garage guy out there getting his hands dirty. Good on him.
All right, so Chad Coleman's going to lead. He's got Mike Kelly behind him. You got Kevin King with Dustin Hall and Adam Benefield behind him to settle this 500K. And just for clearing it up really quickly, Brian Macklin is in the 11th position. He still has a chance in this race. He is actually 12th. He's going to be the 6th car on the outside lane with David Comstock. His car was destroyed earlier. Up in 12th.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there is still a chance that Brian Macklin pulls some kind of a Hail Mary out here, if you will, to win this race.
I'll tell you, it's been a hard race. You look at these cars, they're covered with specks of dirt just from, you know, the number of laps that they put in here tonight. Every one of these drivers came in with high anticipation, and in 5 laps they're going to know whether their dream is going to come true at Daytona as we drop their green flag, and it is up to Chad Coleman to take them to turn 1 with Kevin King to his outside.
Coleman with a great restart there into the restart zone. Outside lanes trying to get tandemed up there as the inside lane gets organized. Joe Hudson, Tyler Dalton down there in the bottom. Kelly's going to get clear. And let's see if Mike pulls up at all here as he's got Hudson on his left rear. That is never safe. Chad does not want to get too big of a lead, though.
Oh! One, but what a push. Holy cow, here comes King to the lead.
Coleman got himself shuffled. Too big of a lead. King going to the lead. I was worried when I saw him get out there, and here comes Macklin to help Coleman. And up in the wall goes Dustin Hall. What happened there? Now King with too big of a lead. Benefield's going to help the 29. Arnold's going to shoot the middle.
Benfield tagged Hall. I don't know if he was trying to help him or... hinder him, but unfortunately for Hall, he got shoved out and he's back in about 8th or 9th right now. Look at Montesi. Where did he come from in the field?
Yeah, no kidding on that. That silver number 4, as all of a sudden, everybody picking their partners, figuring out how they're going to get to the front. Macklin trying to go 3 wide, top side on the 43, making a move.
This is nail-biting just to watch these guys knowing that they're so on the wheel. Any moment here, the turn goes sideways, wrecks the night, and the hard work of any one of these drivers is they are elbows up here with 3 to go going into turn 1. Have no idea who's going to.
Out of all the people I would have thought we'd never seen pushing each other, Mike Kelly pushing Mike Montesi.
Yes.
As Benefield pushing King. I've never.
Here comes Hudson back into the mix.
Oh. Arnold and Macklin making contact as Coleman goes back 3 wide. That's not I'm sorry, that was the 92, not the 31. And there they go around.
And there's a big, huge.
Oh my.
Wow, there's
Kevin,
going to be 12, 14 cars there as yellow. With 2 to go as they cross the strike. We're going to go into overtime here at Daytona, as that was a huge pileup over turn 4.
Coleman, Mons, Arnold, who I thought was the other car, the 92, that was also involved. I'm still getting used to paint schemes. The faster pastor with some damage. I thought it was a 31 that got loose. I thought it was a 31 that got loose around Coleman, but it turned out it was the 92 in the end. And that's where, unfortunately, Rod Sigmund, I think it is, right? The 92, Rod. I've all of a sudden losing my names in my head, too. I'm losing everything. Mitten, thank you. Samsonite, I was way off. All right, let's see the wreck again.
I was going to say, unlike the one we had, kind of slid through and everybody, there was big hits there. One car stopped in the middle and everybody just piled in. It was brutal in some of the hits that were taken there, as you could see them hitting that outside wall.
Yeah, Parker, Mons took some hits. Yoakum took a couple of hits. Coleman, Benfield's mentioned. A lot of damaged cars. And that's going to lead us to Sim500 overtime here in the 500K.
It was almost like a contest of who could hit the hardest, as Benfield went in. Yeah, Jimmy Coleman went in. Bobby Wetzel went in. I mean, there were some huge hits over there. There's going to be massive amount of damage.
They were 4 wide for a split second there. Wow. Let's
you see some hard hits every once in a while, and then you see some vicious ones. That one starts to be happening.
Oof.
Boom. Car just grinds to a halt there.
Never a good sound. That's never a good sound.
But up front, everybody else, their spotters were saying, big one out behind you, keep your foot in it. Okay, you can lift now, and 2 to go, going over. That's unfortunate because several of those drivers were having a pretty good run and lining themselves up for a top 10 finish there. And unfortunately, there were some pretty decent runs came to a grinding halt there against the wall over there.
Look who's the leader of this race.
Yes.
Mike Montesi leads in Daytona right now. Kevin King, Mike Kelly, Adam Benefield, Joe Hudson has found his way to 5th. Tyler Dalton, and then there's Brian Macklin in the 7th position. Is this really going to happen? I mean, the old line, I just referenced Dumb and Dumber once. Let me do it again. Are you saying there's a chance?
You're saying there's a chance.
I mean, why not? just checking really quickly the history of Sim500 overtimes in this race. And I'm going back to 2021 so far. And there has not been a single overtime in a Daytona 500K. 2020 would be the first year, 124 laps in that race. Glenn Campbell won that race over Bobby Wetzel.
I say, why not, Mike Montesi? Fairy tales can come true. Can happen to you. I think he's got what it takes. He's fast in this type of race. He's got some friends out behind him. There's a couple of his Sim 500 teammates right there in the mix, and he's got as good a chance as anybody. He's got to be pinching himself looking over at Kevin King to the right side, but if I'm Mike Montesi, yeah. And you know what? You still have, and this has to be said out loud, Richard Beasley running 13th.
Yeah.
Mr. Super Speedway. He finds ways to win races like this. And even from 13th, he's not out of the mix here. So you have absolutely no idea how these final couple laps are going to play out.
Not at all. And that's what makes this a lot of fun to keep track of and see what is about to take place in this whole thing. As we're going to come to overtime, green flag, white flag, checkered flag. Unless we get another caution. You get 2 attempts to do it. But as I look, I do not see Mike Montesi's name in the winner's circle of Cup winners in this series. As a matter of fact, yes, I can confirm that. 154 starts in the Cup Series. Mike Montesi trying to get his first Cup Series win as he leads them to the green in overtime.
I just want to call out one driver I know. You mentioned his name earlier, but we have not talked about him at all. Joey Stone's running in the 10th right now.
Even that wreck on the back straightaways. They go 3 wide right away. Jatina, Joey Stone, those guys put Macklin 3 wide and pretty much end the chance unless they wreck on the final lap.
The question is, have these two out front gotten away? Chatina's found the back bumper of Tyler Dalton. Dalton moves down to work with Mike Montesi's teammates.
Tyler Dalton, he's got help with Montesi on the bottom side. King and Benefield got to protect as they will go to the white flag. Final lap and Dalton is there. And there they go spinning behind.
Dalton's out front. He's going to continue to lead this parade down on the bottom. They've got 3 cars to 2. Inside line prevails, but here comes King on the outside. He's got to push.
Oh, Dalton gets turned into the wall.
Oh, that was not expected. Here comes Montesi still. They're going to run all the way back to the start-finish line here.
Benefield outside. Montesi on the bottom. The Mike and Mike show on the bottom line. Jatina's going to try to make a move topside as they wreck. And once again, Mike Kelly steals a race on the last lap. And this time, it's the big one. The Daytona 500.
Wow.
He did the same thing.
We talked to him earlier, and there he is.
He did the same thing in the Xfinity race.
I just have to look at that again and see what the heck happened over there. It was just not really clear.
I mean, there is something. Mike Kelly just like literally the Xfinity race here. There was a big wreck in 3 and 4, and he won the race. And then he's done it again. And it puts the sweep, by the way, for the Turn 1 heroes at Daytona for Speed Weeks.
I just wonder if all those cars buffeting off the wind settled against each other coming off of turn 4 just didn't have the grip, and well, the Montesi car got a little wiggle, and with the 2 not going to lift, pushed him through the corner, and the car just jetted to the right, took the cars out, and won. And it was Mike Kelly driving to the victory.
My mind is blown right now.
Joey Stone and Joe Hudson.
My mind is blown right now with this whole thing. Holy cow, what a finish.
Opener. Unbelievable.
I
The good news is for Jatina and Montesi, they were able to carry on, and they finished 7th and 8th. So at least they didn't get killed in that final exchange.
have a feeling there's going to be a lot.
Would rather have won, but
yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of angry people in this thing when it's over with.
Yeah.
Oh boy. As I look over here, Mike Kelly for him. That is. Is this his
Kevin
first?
King never made it back. He's a lap down, so he's going to finish back in the 20s after all his work this year, or this race. I didn't see where heartbreaker for Tyler Dalton.
Yeah, that he had the run. He was there at the end.
22nd, maybe? Unofficial, all these results.
Yeah. Mike Kelly's third career win in this race. Or not in this race, but third career Cup Series win. And what is arguably going to be the biggest as he goes to victory lane in... I mean...
The Exalta Coating Systems number 2. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that's exactly... Well, I like what you did there.
Yeah?
William Byron is what you're going with on that one. All right. That's nothing wrong with that. Let's get Mike up here as he's done doing the donuts. He gets out of the car, going to go collect the checkered flag. And if he's as shocked as I am at this whole thing. But Turn 1 Heroes, Scott Simley won the Trans-Service Truck Series race here back in a couple weeks ago. Then Mike Kelly avoids a huge wreck in Turn 3 and 4 and wins the Xfinity race here a couple weeks ago. And now avoids the carnage and goes to victory lane in the Daytona 500K. Mike, you have added your name to the list of people to win this race.
Wow. Amazing. Turn 1 Heroes sweep of Daytona and Sim500. What an amazing speed weeks.
What? Yeah, no kidding on that one. Obviously, the final lap. Me and Kevin agreed. Out of all the people that would be working together, it was the Mike and Mike show on the bottom.
Yeah, you guys like to drama up that rivalry,
Hey,
but yeah,
come
no,
on.
you're right.
Come on now.
No, you're right. I mean, it's an unlikely duo, and I mean, I'm thrilled to have won, obviously, but man, I did not want to see that happen. I haven't watched the replay. I don't know what happened. I'm assuming I just got him squirrely, but I was just trying to push him as hard as I could to the win. And he started, I didn't know if they got to get, outside of him and, jumbled it up and maybe got him that way, or it was me doing it, but when he went spinning off, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to win. And I wasn't even really like that happy about it at the first moment because that was the last thing I wanted to happen. But wow, just to be in position to win it there with everything I went through that race. Wow. I mean, that, the one, I don't know, 2 or 3, second or third last caution from the end, that big one coming out of 4 when they all came down off the banking and Adam came down in front of me and I jerked the wheel and just squeaked through. I mean, I thought I was dead.
Well, the good news here. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the good news is I have a camera actually set up. If you want to click the screen here, I got my screen being shared, and I'll show you the replay that you're seeing on the screen here. Of you can talk us through kind of where we're at here, because if you click on my okay, yeah. So if you want to talk us through here, what you saw on this final lap. Just basically here we are in turn 1, basically as Dalton gets pushed by you and Mike Montesi to the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like, coming to the white or coming through 3 and 4 before the white, I thought I was not in very good shape because Joe didn't get up in our rear on that restart very good. But then when we came across the line, we had a heck of a run on the bottom, and then of course we got scrambled there. I thought something had gone on with tire there. So now we had a run, and I knew it was just a drag race. I knew I was pushing Mike, and that who's that up there?
That is the
it's Benefield. Yeah, Benefield. And then, oh my gosh, I just got him a little loose, and he went up in there like that. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I talked to Mike already, and I apologized, and he said, no, it's all good. I mean, I was doing everything he needed me to do. I was going to get him to win.
Right.
Oh man, but wow, what a last lap.
Obviously, a lot of people to thank there, man. Send some shout out to whoever you like to.
Yeah, shout out to Captain Esports Network and you and Kevin up there in the booth. I'm sure this one's going to be a real thrill to watch. One for the archives. Special thanks to NC811. Again, that's a podium and a win, 2 nights back to back. Thanks to them for sponsoring these series. It's a great time. Scotty had a pretty good finish. He had actually recovered and was looking at a possible top 10, but got caught up in that last race. So shout out to Scotty for having a decent finish. And shout out to all the drivers in this race, really. I mean, it was a really good race. Everyone drove smart. And, of course, at the end, it got crazy. And shout out to the smoking hot wife. Got to go give her a big kiss.
There you go. Yes, as the guys used to do back in the day in Victory Lane. So congratulations on that, man. Well done. And you now add your name to the list of Daytona 500K winners in this series.
Love it, man. That's a prestigious list here in Sim 500. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you had a good broadcast.
Absolutely, man. Great job.
Thank you.
And sorry, I'm just reading something here. As Mike Kelly goes to Victory Lane here tonight in Daytona and completes the sweep of winners for the Turn 1 Heroes. And just to break it all down here, there was a lot to say calling him to the win there. So,
yeah.
Just to kind of reiterate everything. He was leading the Xfinity race when they piled up in 3 and 4 and pretty much went to Victory Lane like he did tonight. And then for this to happen, it's just like he did it again. That's just mind-boggling at that moment. But Joey Stone, the sly one, if you will. I'm trying to think, what was the sly fox? Joey, help me with that group back in the. I can remember.
Silver Fox?
Was it? Well, that was David Pierce. There was a group. I can't remember their names.
Oh, Sly and the Family Stone.
Thank you. Some reason.
Yes,
that comes. That's what Sly. That's where Stone. I see Joey and stuff. But anyways, I'm guessing Sloppy Joe is him. So we're gonna bring up Sloppy Joe. I don't even want to know why he's named Sloppy Joe. Is there? I guess I got to figure out this one. Where's this nickname come from?
Let's see. I decided I wanted to get into content creating, and I thought of the craziest name I could think of that went with my name back in the day, and it stuck with me through the Pro League and YouTube, and that, I guess that's the origin of it. I just said, hey, Manwich, cool. My name's Joey. Let's make it work.
Nice. Well, great job tonight, man. Congratulations. Kevin, we'll let you talk to him. Don't mind me.
Yeah, I have to say that you're running to play the lottery, I hope. I know you would have liked to have won this, but out of turn 4, Jorgensen in your right door, down the backstretch, they went into the outside fence, you hooked a left. Coming off of turn 4, they went to the outside fence, you hooked a left. And darn if you didn't have a run on Mike Kelly to the win there, and you came up short, but how about that second place finish? Do you think you were going to end up there heading into the final lap, running about 6th, 7th?
Yeah, I mean, we were, almost like maybe two, 3 restarts ago, we were like 23rd. I know we were up there in like 12th or 13th at one point, and we got involved in a wreck there and kind of had to come down and fix like a minute and a half of damage. So at that point, I was just thinking, all right, well, let's just try to survive and maybe get a top 15, top 10 out of this thing. But, as the runs kind of went on, I followed Josh Parker for one of those things and just started being a little aggressive and making moves that weren't going to make people mad at me. And it got us into position there. And at the end, it's crazy how these plate races work because, sometimes you feel like it's going to go your way, but it doesn't. And then the races you do where you don't think it's going to go your way and somehow it does. But thankfully we've learned a lot over the past few years of just developing as an iRacer and just learning how these runs develop with these cars, and we were able to go the right direction from the top to the bottom. And I'm not gonna lie, I got pretty lucky there on the last restart. I cannot believe the leaders were wrecking each other like that on the last lap, but thankfully we used some quick instincts to stay in that lead pack. And if I didn't have to jolt to the left to miss the wreck, man, maybe I could have had a shot at Mike, but we had a little damage on the 7 car, a little aero damage, I think. So we probably couldn't develop that same run. But nonetheless, man, this feels like a win for my first points-paying race with a talented group like this. To come home here on the podium is pretty special, man. It feels great.
I was going to say your name is not unfamiliar to me, but this is your first 500 Cup race, right?
Yes,
Sim
correct.
500? Yeah.
Yeah.
So second place, that's a great auspicious beginning as a second place in this kind of race where the marquee, everybody's here, 47 drivers, and to come away second, just short of getting yourself the win. That's SVG territory and a good way to start your season. You're going to join us every week?
Yeah, the plan is to run full time this year. I'm really excited to be a part of this group. I know there's a lot of talent here. There's definitely going to be some learning curves on the way because of the talent that's here. But I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to grow my iRacing skills more and more with this field. And to come home second here is kind of like SVG, man. Kind of feels like it, just one spot shy of that. But it's a lot of momentum, but the work's not done. We gotta continue this momentum all season long, get better, practice, and just to make sure we're competitive every week in and out. So just nonetheless really excited to run a full-time season with this group.
Take us through the conditions tonight. We didn't get to hear from the drivers about how the cars drove. Were they stable? Were they all over the place? Tell us a little bit about how that worked. We know in the beginning everybody kind of paced themselves out, ran through the middle, but at the end, holy cow, you guys were up on the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I've learned with these next-gen cars here at the plate races, man, they tend to get very loose on corner exit the longer you go into a run. That's why it was really important to really save those 3 sets of tires as much as possible, because there was times where, yeah, of course you want fresh Goodyears, but you got to think of the least amount of time on pit road, especially during those green flag pit stops and cautions, just to keep your track position. So there were at times, when you're up on that wheel and the restarts and everything off those corner exits, you're going 195 miles per hour down the back straightaway into 3. The rear end wants to kick out a little bit. So you really had to get up on the wheel and really shake the wheel to just make sure that car stays put, especially on that corner exit. And that's one thing you had to do to really continue your run. But yeah, with these cars, they were really loose. I mean, some of these guys this might be a baby walk for them, when it comes to the handling. But for some of these guys like me who are still growing and still learning, you really feel the handling in these cars. And nice smooth hands is the way to continue your runs and keep the car at one piece and stay out of trouble. So thankfully we did that, but the conditions were definitely on the looser end for sure.
You got Ancient Gaming World on the Camaro here tonight. Who do you want to give a shout out to? Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to my community over there on my stream on Kick. They're watching me. They're supporting me. They're going crazy in the chat for that finish. Shout out to all of them. Love them. Thank you for all the support. And Ancient World Racing, also known as Ancient World Gaming, is the esports organization I am a part of. We have a few cars in the field for our team. Justin Mods in the 41, Cody Giles in the 5. 2 buddies of mine that also were part of the NASCAR Heat Pro League days. And we've carried over our racing love to iRacing, and we've grown into it. And this team's owned by Antonio Williams, former running back for the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills. And he's a great leader. He's a great owner of this esports organization, and he trusts us to put the best results out there. So it's cool to have our cars in this field, very talented field, and to put that car on the podium for him and the whole entire team is special. So, yep, shout out to Ancient World, shout out to Antonio, shout out to my entire community over there on Kick and Discord, and of course, shout out to our partners, Cutscene, Next Level Racing, and of course, the platform Kick for giving me a platform to stream on. So there's a lot of people I could shout out, honestly, but we don't want to. I don't have that much time to shout out every single person.
No worries, and I'm sure we'll get to talk to you multiple times across this season. Congratulations on your second place finish in the season opener. Go enjoy it with your friends, and we'll turn back to Chris, who hopefully we can catch up with Joe Hudson here, who finished third tonight.
Yeah, Joe Hudson, obviously, good job there, obviously, Mr. Stone, on your finish. And, of course, Joe Hudson, him and I were texting. I thought he wasn't able to interview or something, but it turned out he was actually waiting on me patiently for the interview. And here is Mr. Hudson. after what, as Kevin would say, a bold strategy call there, Cotton. Getting yourself up there in the front and avoiding the melees to put the 43 car in the top 3 tonight, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Really wish we could have went green the whole way there because we were in good shape to have enough fuel to make it. But then there didn't seem to be any need to pit. Just try to stay up front and stay on the bottom and stay out of the way. And they come like hungry dogs, you know. But it's good. Take a top 3 for the biggest race.
How much saving did you? Oh, I'm sorry.
I saved on every caution. I mean, Raven under there, and then I pitted. I think I had like 47 laps on my tank. I was following the 60, and we pitted with 45 to go. So we were 2 laps to the good. So then when we had cautions, we just cut it off and coasted. And then there was so many cautions, even with the green white checker, there was still plenty of fuel. Just not a good enough driver.
Well, obviously, still a great race to be a part of here this evening, and you about pulled it off, man. Obviously, talk about the racing out there, because you obviously jumped up to the front there late in the race, but you were obviously in the middle of the madness back there at times.
Yeah, I mean, you just had to kind of pick your line, and it was just one would go, then the next would. It was just like a seesaw, back and forth, and just try to give a lot of room. But you know, at the end, it's all. It gets pretty aggressive there, and I think we were all expecting that. And was trying to help Mike Kelly push my teammate Montesi to the win, and I guess I kind of got Mike a little too much of a good shot, and it killed my momentum, and then I just got swallowed up. But then, blessingly, they all wrecked on the last lap, and I got back to third. I should have probably been about 10th.
Well, great job tonight. Congratulations, and send some shout-outs to whoever you like to, bud.
I'd really like to just take a second to say to my wife, I haven't raced a lot this week. This is the first time since last Sunday when her brother was 45 years old, and they found him unexpectedly had passed away in his sleep. So it's been a real rough week around the Hudson house, and I'd like to dedicate this one to my brother-in-law, Bart Lewis. He's 44 years old, and it's just a rough time, but maybe Bart was helping me. So anyway, appreciate the job that you guys always do, Joey and the whole crew at Sim500, the Mafia. We'll try it again next time.
Great job, man. Happy for you race-wise, but obviously sorry to hear about the situation there.
That's good. Appreciate your thoughts.
Absolutely.
You have a great night.
You too. Joe Hudson there finishing in the 3rd position, and I don't know how to go off that one. That's tough to hear about. You know, anytime you get a unexpected type of situation like that. So thoughts and prayers for everybody in Hudson family there. And congrats on the 3rd place finish on his part. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, I mean, you just the one takeaway everybody should have is live every day.
Yeah,
live every day.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the final results here. Haven't had a chance to show them off. Mike Kelly wins it, obviously, over Joey Stone. Joe Hudson finishes 3rd. Dustin Hall finishes 4th. So that's 2 newcomers up there in the top 4. Kevin Brown 5th. Adam Benefield 6th. Joey Zutina 7th. Mike Montesi ends up 8th. Chad Coleman. Nick Jobs. Remember him being a lap down earlier in the race?
Yeah.
Finishes top 10. David Comstock 11. Mike Peters ends up 12th. And not wanting to bring drama up sometimes, but I see there's a little something over in chat right now with he and Jose. I knew there was something weird about the whole thing. 13th, Scott Simley. Richard Beasley, 14th. Scott Stenzel ends up in the top 15. I've always got my eyes open. 16th goes to Mark Jorgensen. Ron Holyfield, 17th. Justin Fuller, 18th. Cody Giles and Rod Mitten, 20th. Jose Medina, 21st. Tyler Dalton, Alan Wild, Randy Yoakum, Brian Wortman ends up in the 25th position. Kevin King, 26th. Brian Macklin, 27th. Robert Friery, 28th. Eric Arnold, 29th. Jose Gonzalez, 30th. Josh Parker, 31st. Justin Mons, 32nd. Jimmy Coleman, Stoney Benfield, Patrick Blundell, 36th. Glenn Campbell, 36, I should say. Radalasso finishing 37th. Sigmund, 38th. Bobby Wetzel in the 39th position. Kevin Stone, 40th. Patrick Colby, 41st. Gerald Livingston, 42nd. Carl Lavage, 43rd. Nelson Rivera, 44th. Donnie Leah, 45th. Anthony Calantoni and Wesley Donaldson, 46th and 47th. Now, I assume that the guys who finish 43rd and lower will get a point, because obviously I think the points only go to 43rd. I have to look into that to see how much.
To look and see how that works.
That just kind of crossed my mind as I was reading off the finishers here. I'm gonna go down. Yep, everybody gets a point. So yeah, actually, it looks like the way the point structure is here that Nelson got 3 points, Donnie with 2, and then 1 down to 47th. So everybody did get points. One cool feature I saw last night in Atlanta, and that's part of these cool updates the Sim Racer Hub keeps throwing out there, is these ratings and stuff like that. Mike Kelly had the highest driver rating tonight, 103.4. Congratulations. Matter of fact, he was the only driver over 100, and it's by far. And, the closing passes tonight, Kevin to Brown. So congratulations to him. Quality pass wise, it looks like Mark Jorgensen getting that with 47. So it's kind of some cool features they show in.
No shout to Tyler Dalton.
Believe it or
not, an amazing race.
Tyler, yeah. Tyler ran up front all night. He led 41 laps, led the most laps in the race, obviously. So we'll give him that. I'm just trying to see
how many times have we been saying that lately? How well Tyler's been running. I think this is going to be a good year for Tyler Dalton.
And I think it still could be. Yeah. Tyler, here, this will tell you how good Tyler Dalton was tonight. He averaged running 3.5 tonight, position-wise, up front.
Yeah.
So he and Mike Kelly by far the top two, and then Kevin King was third with that. Jorgensen and Colby, your top 5 there in that. So, so it's some cool things that they show, and I'll try to feature those throughout the broadcast here now that they do all that. So, final thoughts here from Daytona before we ride up I-75. Well, we'll go 95 to 10 to 75 to Atlanta.
What are you going to say? It was a stellar opening and a precursor to what's going to be an amazing season. All of this is possible with the support of call 811 before you dig, so know what's below. I'm excited, Chris, to be back for another season of Sim500 Racing, and I'm already looking forward to next week when we roll into Atlanta.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the racing there in Hotlanta next week. Of course, the Xfinity Series, they will be at Richmond on Sunday. For race number 7 of their season. They got started obviously back in January. So they'll get going from Richmond on Sunday, and then Monday will be from Atlanta Motor Speedway for the 08 Atlanta, so the old one. So we'll get the run on the old track. Looking forward to that coming up here next Monday night. Kev, appreciate it, man. Let's do it again next week.
Ready.
All right, buddy. Appreciate everybody for watching. Of course, a big thanks to 811 for sponsoring the series. Big thanks to Joey for allowing Kevin and I to hang out every Monday night and have a good time. Appreciate all the viewers. And just for those who are new to the channel, in case you haven't seen this yet, I do a little montage at the end here, so you might want to stick around. But remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya!
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, or retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain Esports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The following is a special presentation. From the Captain Esports Network.